Brother Marong.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Doing good, bro. Paramos, doing good.
Bro, the newlywed. It was definitely nice seeing you in New York, live and direct. That was a hell of a wedding. I gotta give it to you, my brother. And like they say, right here in Atlanta, you know how to pickle. I had the what they call it, the video, and I wanted to Basiru now to download it for me. Man, we've been going through that. He never did. I'm like, saboting a small program, because that was going to be my opening, because I wanted to show people the ambience and the. But you know what? Hey man, I still gotta show it. I got my cell phone. So gotta go there. Definitely. Lisa. Can you see it?
No, I can see it. I can even hear the sound, Mr. Mbai sound. Mbai.
Lisa. Hey, I gotta make sure that people didn't make it to New York. and what I like about it is the new dance. I'm like, no, bro, I didn't think you know the new dance. You perfected. I'm like, oh my Lord.
No, the sister-in-law, Aisatu was telling me, hey, I heard the Baribunkas can't dance. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to ramp up my game here. And every weekend I need.
So you really did. So how is the madam? How is he doing?
The madam is good. Madam is good.
Yeah.
Maintaining. But Musa, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone. Especially the in-laws. Aisatu and our Aja. And our and the brother Muke. And everyone, my own family who came from Minnesota, the cousins, and yellow cousins. There were some yellow cousins from New York who showed up.
And I met them.
For loose, and you see, you met Yaya and Alkali and we as well, and everyone who came out there, man. And my friend Pamani came all the way from Virginia. He was also there, and his friend Amadou. Everyone who graced the occasion, and my own boss, man, Musa Gang. It was an honor, to have you over there.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Me and my brother Babukar Silla, man. It was great having you guys all, and folks who were not up there, our sisters to Clore C, they were all out there. Binet Bojang Fatu too. She sent me messages and. Grace the occasion and congratulate us, and we really appreciate it. It was really, really, Fathamos, everyone. There was some guys who came in at the restaurant and said, you sit down for the pay. Where's Coach? And I said, Musa was here. I said, Musa. He said, Musa was there. I said, yes. He said, I didn't see him. I said, no, he was there. They were like, man, we should meet Musa in person, man. I said, yep, he was here, man.
I know.
Yeah.
It was a nice
so it was great, man, having you guys all there and making it a big family. And I think that's what it is all about,
Definitely,
folks just reaching out and embracing you and making things out there. And I really, really appreciate you, Musa, and my brother man
Oh,
Silla, and Silla and the cameras, they knew each other,
yes, yes, they
I
do.
said, yeah.
Actually, when we got to
Azadu
the
told me, he
restaurant,
says, Silla is your brother-in-law. Silla is your
yes,
brother-in-law. He said, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
when we got to the restaurant and they started talking and they were speaking in Sarahule, they know
yeah.
each other. I mean, very well, definitely, definitely. But it
Yeah,
was a
Azadu
nice
said
trip
she
for
knows
us.
Umi too. He says, no, I know
Yes, yes,
Musa's
yes,
wife,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
Gambia
exactly
too
what you said.
small.
Gambia, very, very small. They're all
But
businesswomen.
Musa, something came out of that though. I mean, potentially next week we're gonna have a contract with Keraisha, and it's gonna go run on for the people by the people.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's a good thing. But you
Yeah,
know what?
yeah,
Oh my God, the food was unbelievable. When we got there, you guys were already gone. I mean, Babu and
yeah,
I, and
yeah.
we got this. Oh my God, the Afra. And it was
Oh yeah, yeah,
unbelievable
yeah, 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 yeah.
with Cheke, and it was nice. I mean, it was a short vacation for us. It's just a getaway.
Yes,
I mean, and that's
yeah,
what made it so special.
yes,
That I haven't been to New York for quite a while. Most of the
yeah,
time, you just go through on transit, head into Banjul and stuff like that. But to just
mhm,
come and stay, I mean, it's been a while, to be honest. It's definitely
mhm,
been a while. So it was nice, without a doubt. It was really, really,
yeah.
really, really nice. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it
It's
was
fun.
it was it was a
Must have
great
been very
session, man.
tiring for you too, as well.
Yep, yep, yep,
You
yep.
were flying in and
This
out.
No, the sisters, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I got here on Monday. I was down, man, completely. Completely,
Can
complete.
imagine.
The outbound flight takes about 4.5 hours, but inbound is 5.5 hours, man.
That's a
So the
long
time you,
haul,
yeah,
man. That's a
when
that's
you take off, you get down here, man. It's like you feel like you're going to Africa. So
yes. That's
yes,
the thing that
yes,
I don't like about Seattle.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you're taking an international flight.
yeah, 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 pretty much.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we were not here last week, of course. And it's been like a couple of weeks. Quite a few things have been happening. And so we're just gonna go with the ads. And then coach is gonna join us. He's been working too hard. That's why the other day, Manako Mang like Crucial, Mang like
Oh
Nyang.
man.
So
Hey, my boss. Musa, before you go on the ad, I have to apologize to my boss. Matar Sajao. I know he's in the neck of the wood. Connecticut. Definitely, Matar. I should have called you,
oh
invite you on
man.
Madame. Definitely. 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 My
Oh,
apologies,
gee,
man.
that would have been nice.
No, definitely, definitely, definitely. And my sister too, Ami. Cisse Mandi
I mean, she
Mori,
say, yeah,
yeah,
it's like which one right there.
yeah. Yeah,
Really,
definitely.
really.
It
Without,
would be
without,
great to have Matar, man. Definitely. He's a great
yeah,
guy.
it would have been
Matar, man.
without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
Believe the hype because it's that good. A true kitchen essential. Get Candy Spice products to impress your family and friends with great food, creating flavorful memories. We have pepper sauce, marinades, gourmet spices, barbecue sauces, fruit butter, African snacks, and much more. Every order gets a gift. Yes, you heard that right. Every order gets a gift. Candy Spice, it's handcrafted and all natural. We have options, you choose. Order at www.candyspice.com.
While you have certainly heard about coronavirus, commonly called COVID, you might not know these important facts and ways to protect your family from the illness it can bring. COVID can be very contagious through air, touch, or sharing food. It has been studied at length, and we can share with you what we know so far. Who are we? We are New World International, a non-profit organization located in Washington State, and our mission is to educate people about coronavirus. The coronavirus can cause serious illness and, yes, even death if not treated right away. The symptoms are similar to the common flu: fever, cough, sore throat, and shortness of breath. Many people experience these symptoms and wait too long to seek medical attention. That can be a life-threatening mistake. Certainly, keeping a safe distance from others that appear to have flu symptoms is advisable. It's always better to be safe than sorry. If you develop these symptoms, there won't be any way for you to know that it's just a common flu unless you have a test done. It's best to seek out a doctor, nurse, health worker, or health facility to get advice and treatment if needed. If you are a student, report the conditions to your teacher right away. By all means, stay home if you are sick. Always cover your mouth and nose if you sneeze, and wash up afterward. The contagion spreads with the moisture droplets. As you have heard, there is a vaccine available for coronavirus. Seriously consider receiving a vaccine before you become ill. And above all, consult with your doctor when you do not feel well. For more information, please visit us online at newworldinternational.org.
Brother man.
Yes,
So
sir.
like we said, it's been 2 weeks. Quite a few things have been happening.
Yes.
And at the wedding, I was able to run into the cousins, And when I came in, I saw one of the guys. He was all in yellow with the jacket and everything. I think his name is Sana Judge or something like that. So I said, my hand, Sana. He said, yes, Musa Jeng. He said, oh, I know you. So, but one thing though, and we started talking, and then there was your other cousin. What's his name again?
My in-law, yes, Sana.
Yes, and then
Yes.
Yafa.
Yes.
We had a very nice conversation. How these things are sometimes, weddings, or you go to some of these Gambian events. It wouldn't take long. We start talking politics, and they were definitely nice to me. Sometimes with all the remarks we get on the program, they're like, "Bari Musa Jeng, you guys, you give us a hard time." It was all love, and talking about Gambia. We talk a lot about 2026. What needs to happen? How can change? How can we bring change about? I'm like, that's what this platform is all about. We come here every Sunday, and these are some of the issues that we talk about. And irrespective of partisans or biases, you're just saying, if we want to have change, this is maybe the way to go about it. And we are not a monolithic group. We all kind of see things differently. That's the beauty of where we are. But it was nice, definitely, talking to these people. I mean, seeing them and hearing from them what they would tell you. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different when they make pronunciations or utterances in the public. It's just totally different. They are as, what I would say, pragmatic as all of us are, in terms of, if we want to bring about change, if we want to take Gambia to a different direction, what needs to happen? And I'm not talking about personalities, or this person should be the president, or that, blah, blah. No, nothing like that. And I was impressed, to be very candid. I just hope that the little conversation that we had there at the wedding, we could transplant, maybe is the right word, to platforms like this. Because when you start having those honest conversations, I think it helps. I think it helps the country, and I think it helps. The issues, really, because people are really telling you how they feel, what they believe in, and what needs to happen. It was interesting, to be honest with you. Yeah. I always
but Musa, before I forgot, I know it's been 2 weeks, but a week prior, we were here. Mm-hmm. We had a discussion, especially the protests that happened in New York, and particularly Joby's name came up, and I wanted to address some issues here, because I think we can be exuberant and try to express our opinions without being too personal and not to mislead the public. Right. So that day when we had that discussion here, you state your opinion clearly and obviously MB Kurubali, the Tukulorsis, all of us chime in and we challenge what it is, and that's what a public discourse. But to my dismay, and in fact, you invited Jobis to call in, and we sent him a link and to call him. But afterwards, Jobis doubled down. He doubled down and creating some misinformation. And I think some of us who work with you, who know you, besides sitting on this platform, it's my duty to come out here and say stuff that I know about your character, your integrity. I think it's very, very important, right? So I saw a lot of things that he said that are unfounded and basically false, right? So number one, he said, you work for you've been in contact with Fatu Baro Founded. That's completely false. We knew you, Musa, not but in the 90s. Right? You stood for, you fought for your integrity. You build your own empire. You don't need Fatuba Baroque Foundation to give you a damn thing. So that's some misinformation. The second thing was he said some type of hospital. I don't know where he said you were. That's completely false. And I think it also undermines. And this is very, very important for those who call in and try to defend Jobis. I think we have to be very, very careful in these regards because the guy, things got over his head and he went in there on TikTok, on everything, trying to go over, double down, misinformation, talk about who you... And in fact, I saw his postings on Facebook where coach challenge, they work for go work for which government? You don't know people. I respect Jobis. I follow Jobis. And I was here to defend him. I say, hey, Jobis, but it doesn't need to take that much to go out there and start misinformation, try to character assassinate people. Maybe he needs to go back to Atlanta and find who you are and what you stood for. I have no single that I would say it here and I would say it anywhere that you will never work with Fatuba Baro. What is he going to give you? Musa Jeng has been Musa Jeng. He has a good family. He has kids. And it's very unfair to go out there and put this misinformation. And it's not your duty. You're not going to talk about this. But for us, it's going to be very unfair to let this thing go out without addressing this issue. And I think Jobis owe to the people to backtrack on these things. And I wonder why Ismail doesn't want to give you an interview, because if you ramp up on such aggression and misinformation, I think you need to kind of dial back a little bit, reflect on things that you say, and you can be against Barrow without misinformation, putting this misinformation out there, character assassinating people, telling people that, he's a Barrow agent, he's that. Well, Musajan know Musajan for a very long time. Before the age of social media, you've never done that, and I have no doubt you will never do that. So I wish Coach would be, I can call and kind of add some comments to what I'm going to say. But that's just the truth. We cannot continue. You can be passionate, but you sit on this platform every Sunday. You take time of your, valuable time out of your family. You and I and Coach Pod does that. But we don't sit here to sway people. We state what we think at the appropriate time, what is factual to the best of our ability. So I think it's just disservice and disheartening to have someone get out there for a fact that go out at a length, having people call in and talk all time of, bad stuff against a very honorable man. And I felt I need to come in here and dispel and push back. And he's free to call on this platform anytime if he wants, and we can have this discussion. But I think we have to be very fair to each other. We are all passionate. We want the best for Gambia, but we cannot continue to misinform people about one person or just because you disagree with that person. It undermines what you stood for and what you fought for. And this is just the truth. Yeah.
This is the thing. Anytime, anyone, if you're going to go publicly and you have an opinion, people are going to have opinion about you. I have no doubt about that. Now, as for Jobis, just like me, we were all in the struggle. I don't know Jobis personally, and he doesn't know me. But I've seen him and what he does, and he contributed immensely during the struggle to bring about change. What I did that Sunday was to be critical of his action, and also the other guy that was insulting Dr. Samate. Everything that I said was my personal opinion. What is interesting, some of us that are so sometimes accuse the government or even opposition leaders, when we criticize them and they overreact, we are thin skinned. We don't want people disagreeing with us. Instead of they coming out to talk about the criticism level against them. I got a call from Europe, from I saw your picture and this guy is saying a lot of things. But you see, I did not mind that part. The disappointing part was when Tukulor C and this other lady called in, and because what tends to happen, these are people that I really respect. When somebody is lying about me, the only reason why I'm coming here, I'm sort of supporting Barrow, working with Fatou Barrow. And then they helped build a clinic in my hometown of Njau. I'm not even from Njau in the first place. That's how, you see, when you make stuff up, you're just making things up. Let's have disagreements. Tell me, Musajeng, you're wrong about me. I think this protest is important. Blah, 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 blah. Say that, and I would respect that. Disagree with me. That's why I wanted him to come on the platform, because I think it's unfair to criticize him without giving him an opportunity to come and defend himself. That's what this platform is all about. But when you have, like I said, the people that I mostly respect, they tune into that and they are lying about me, and you know it. And just because you are mad at me or you disagree with me, that tells me a lot about you. You see, we need to be careful. And Tukulose called in. I sent her the link, and she told me Musajeng Merenala. And I agree. And she told me that she was disappointed, and I get it. We saw things differently. Yeah. But to kind of become a cheerleader to a bunch of makeup stuff, I thought that was very disappointing, to be very candid. In as much as you disagree with my position, which is fine, we're going to have disagreements. Pasamba and I, we have disagreement every day, even before we came on the public platform. He told me about the protests. I'm like, I was disgusted. Munema, I'm not surprised. That's what he told me. Because we see things differently. So I did not come up here to act. Man, my position when it comes to protests, going all the way back to Jammeh, it hasn't really changed that much. It's always, to me, the last resort if we can explore other channels. That's me. I went to Washington, D.C. I went to New York. I went to the CNN building. We've been protesting. I know protest is important. But Pasamba and I, we see it a little bit differently. He's much more open to it than I am. So, for Jobis or anybody else, please, let's have our disagreements, but let's not lie about stuff. You want to paint me with, yeah. And then even Sekou Sedili, and maybe he was kidding, but today they all join in and said, I'm a mole to distract me. People need to get away from that. No one is a mole. We have disagreement within families. We're going to see things differently. But that doesn't mean that one is a mole or anything like that. Bro, if I wanted to be Barrow, I'll be Barrow. Nobody can tell me, and I'll come here every Sunday and defend him. I swear to God, I will do it. I have the audacity and pass it out because nobody pays my bills. I could come here and have an opinion and defend the man. But that's not where I'm at. But I'm also going to come, and when things are said about the government that I disagree with, I'll disagree with it. If you think it helps the government, that's you. That's not me. But again, it is what it is. We come here every Sunday, we have an opinion. People are going to have an opinion about us, but at least let's not lie about it. Man fa laa ko gisee Pap Samba sa nel bi tey sign na. And we miss you in New York. You know, we get this new dance. I mean, Seri Yang and I, you have not even bobu, more be def me. I don't think you know how to do that one. So you gotta take some classes. I gotta give it to you.
Coach.
Yes, Sarian,
yes, sir.
And congratulate you again.
Thank you, sir.
That was sad that I make it. They've been working me like a you know like a slave, but you know it is part of it. I'm just glad that Musa was able to come. You know,
oh, he was there, man.
Yeah, and you know, if you live in Atlanta, you have to, you know, go and join events like that at least to be relevant. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it was great, and I know my coming here has been spotty a little bit because of some things I have to deal with at work. Yeah, but you know, congratulations. And before going any further, I wanna wish my brother Pata PJ a very
yes, sir.
birthday.
Yes, sir.
Today is his birthday. I don't know whether it's a real one though, but yeah.
Yeah, Pata PJ, and you know, by the way, today is 249th birthday of the world's powerful Navy, U.S. Navy. So today marks a significant milestone, and I must bring that to the record. And Pata is very, very important because his birthday aligns with the mighty Navy's birthday as well. So today is Navy's birthday as well. So
how old is Pata? How old is Pata? Yange always pass somebody to do
No, Patandola.
Huh?
Patandola.
No, why, bro? No, Pata, no start university vitamin day. I mean, so
yeah,
it can be no.
University, at least 40
You're
years.
not talking about me. And I also want to definitely wish Pata PJ a happy birthday. And just to remind him, I remember during just when we took over, and it was something that what's his name? The Minister of Interior did. My Ahmed party. You know, that was kind of stuff on my Ahmed. But this one blew him away. And his only explanation when we spoke, I'm gonna tell you this, and you're gonna be laughing. But I think the Jalang, they might have something to do with my Ahmed party to take that position. That was Mune Jalang Idal, they might have gotten something to, they might have gotten to him. I'm telling you, this struggle, bro, Averla. But a happy birthday.
But Musa, I had your conversation. I think the most ridiculous statement that anybody could make is that you are a closet NPP supporter. It's just like when sometimes I speak and people accuse me of being UDP. So it looks like our country now has been, you know, when you like the government or when you say anything that is favorable to the government, you are NPP. When you say anything that is against the government, you are UDP. I've known and worked with you for a very, 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 very long time. We do not agree on most issues. In fact, I don't think we agree on anything.
Yeah.
No.
And I know that if you were a member of any organization, you would outly declare it.
Of course.
And the NPP is a registered legal entity, just like the UDP is a registered legal entity. Nothing is stopping anybody from joining them if you want to join them. Let's have our disagreements without being disagreeable. And I also agree with what you say, you know, making things up does not help anybody. Because I've come to learn that you're from Yao, Musa.
And my Kaur people are very angry.
Yeah. And this notion that you work for what's the lady's name?
Fatuba Barrow Foundation.
You see, these are all nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, I have 100% backed the. Okay, I think something is happening to my. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, it's just
your picture went out, but we can hear you.
Yeah, for a minute, just playing games. You know that I backed the protest that happened.
Oh yeah,
100%. I have zero problems with it. But again, some people sometimes come up with things. During the struggle, you've always had a problem with anybody being insulted.
I never liked it.
And I think your argument, I think, had very little to do with Jobis's protest with Dr. Cisse.
Dr. Cisse.
Was, what's this guy's name? Samate being insulted or whatever people want to call it. To me, here is the issue. When you serve a government, you better be ready to deal with it. I had a situation here, Musa, where a customer came and was very angry because there was miscommunication. And I spoke to my staff and they were, but I don't think there was any need to be angry. I say, you know what? You cannot tell a person how to react when they are disappointed. And those who run our government, from Adama Barrow to, yes, I said Adama Barrow, to the last one, Musa, if the people's lives have not changed, you cannot determine how they will react to you. Dr. Samate, I will not insult his mom or do all that, but I'm not going to tell anybody else how to react. Because, Musa, as we speak, you have people who are dying needlessly in our hospitals. What other recourse do citizens have? The level of poverty in that country. So to those civil servants or public servants who believe that people should just put them on a pedestal and just clap for them, that's not how it works anywhere. Your job is to provide services for the people. When you don't provide those services, you better be ready to hear from those people. And that's just what it is. But as far as I am concerned, I support any and every protest. There was something that Dr. King said, that riot, which is the most extreme form of protest, the riot is the language of the unheard. And Dr. King, Musa, and Musa Yo, pretty much your way of dealing with people are very close. Because, Dr. King, you don't see him say anything out there. So he was very measured. But he also understood that the language of the unheard is riot. But again, it is what it is.
You see,
we just move on.
This is the disagreement that I have with you behind the scenes. And there's something that you said that I disagree with. And that is, I don't have a problem with people protesting in New York. I don't have a problem with that. But then the reaction that I'm hearing, when you guys used to do it during the time of Jammeh, and what I always said was, it's not the protest that I have a problem with, it's how you channel it. Talking truth to power, I think, is important. And there are different channels that you can exploit to do that. For me, I believe where we are today, and this is not what Barrow created, this is what we have created as a people. This is after 15 years of struggle that we have created a different Gambia, that we can speak truth to power. Pasamba, every Tuesday, you protest against Barrow. Every Tuesday. And every Gambian across the country will hear it. The government will hear it. Barrow himself will hear it. And it's effective and it's impactful. When I called in, when we were talking about corruption on Peter Gomez,
yes,
I don't usually do that. You do it more than I do. I thought this is a channel that could be very effective for me to add my voice, because Barrow will hear it, the administrators will hear it, I will speak truth to power. Manlola Gum. You don't protest just for the hell of it. The channels that we exploited during the time of dictatorship, Gambians couldn't speak when you pick up a phone, you call, this place, this bastion, was the only place that we could speak truth to power and also basically socially embarrass this person. It was a tactic that needed to be utilized because of the political situation at that time. Now, if people still chose to utilize it, that's on them. But if I criticize it, I have every right to say, look, whatever you are doing, because for me, like I said, the Dr. Samate one disgusted me. Dr. Samate is the public servant, yes, but he's a professional and he's a good man. Has he made mistakes that he could be challenged and be critical of him, especially when those kids died under his watch? Yes. But does that make him a murderer? I absolutely disagree. If you said, being Minister of Health, women are dying during labor, and that makes Dr. Samate a murderer, billahi wallahi talai, since independent, anyone who was Minister of Health, then they are a murderer as well, equally culpable. That's what I believe. They are not murderers. You could accuse them of being incompetent. You could accuse them of being mismanaging. I get that. But if I said, saga yayi Dr. Samate, I was disgusted. Even during the time of Jammeh, I would defend Malik Mbaye, binko saga yayam, manalen luchi yayam don. I mean, it's just, first of all, it doesn't even work in the first place. And just like we have rights to protect, Pasamba, you always talk about our rights, freedom of speech. Those public servants also working for us, they do have rights as well. Where do you draw the line? That's the disagreement and argument that we can have. And Musa Jeng is disgraceful.
Sarian, if I may just come. In law, I am not a lawyer. If your negligence leads to the death of somebody, you are culpable for that person's death. If your negligence leads to the death of somebody, you are culpable for that murder. That's why they would charge you with a first degree murder or manslaughter or whatever. Here is the issue, Musa.
Let's be careful now. When
you talk about protest, that's okay. Let's head there. You talk about protest. I refused and continue to refuse to protest here. Not because I cannot, but I do not also give one Jammeh or Barrow to own the democratic space in the Gambia to the extent whereby people will not do it in there. As long as people's rights to hold protests in the Gambia are unfettered, or they can protest in the Gambia, I refuse to protest outside. That doesn't mean that I may not choose tomorrow to do it if the circumstances change. But that is me. And I encourage everybody.
But Pasamba, you are somebody for 15 years when protesting against Jammeh was not even popular. Yen Jerome Beninit with Karamba Toure and Patu Jaumane, very few people would even protest. But for the past 7 years, since we brought about change, you have not done it. It reinforced what I'm saying. That there are other channels that we could exploit to speak truth to power. How come you haven't done it?
Okay, but
why didn't you think it is necessary? Your Ongabini, this United Nations General Assembly, there wasn't one single one during the time of Jammeh that demolished New York. Amut, you'll be there.
No, Mamla, the situations have changed.
Yes.
And there is a tactical reason why I don't do it.
Correct.
It's not that it's not justifiable to do it, but tactically, I don't want to do it. Because I believe that the place where protests must be held and should be held is in the Gambia.
Exactly.
Because my fear is when we start moving away from doing what we're supposed to do on the ground, we'll continue to give Barrow the opportunity to seize the ground. And very soon, the right to protest would be snuffed out of that country. But again, Musa, there is a reason when I write something, I do not normally go back to my wall. Because I believe that, and you've mentioned this, the same way that I have a right
Correct.
to say or do something is the same way that somebody else can see it differently. Because that is the very essence of democracy.
Correct.
So we should always learn to accept that, you know what, I am taking this position because I believe in it. That Sarian would wake up tomorrow and say, no, what you did was foolish. It would not work. And when we start to develop that democratic mind, then maybe we'll start to build the democratic Gambia that we want. But again, like I've always said for a very long time, Gambians are not always as democratic as we claim to be.
No, we're not.
You know, so we have to, it's a very balancing, it's a very difficult balancing, and nobody likes to be criticized, but we also have to accept it. The same way that we come here and say anything is the same way that Ma'am Lisa can say, you know what, yen ay waxulen dara waxi dof ngene wax rek because ngene amul fayda, which is not
always do.
in a democracy. But let's agree to disagree, and let's not try to decal it from decode, because I've heard some things that are disgusting, like, oh, Ajera. You've never taken a penny of Ajera. If anything, you've protected Ajera's money. Remember the Kuchi Waje Desi. Or Barrow is paying you. What can Barrow pay you? Yo, if anything, you were the one paying Barrow, you know, when he was doing his business at Magam or whatever. Let's move away from those nonsense and look at other issues that are criticize Musa for what he said, but Buko Dekal from Dekut. That's all I'm saying.
Mota, and I'm going to let the new newlywed come in. Mota, sometimes I even question some of the things that they level against even public officials, because I'm like, oh my God. I mean, these are the kind of crap people be putting out there for people to buy it. Yo, once you let an organization, you know, such as an analyst, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, and then but anyway, it is what it is. Hey, go ahead.
Coach, thank you. I think before you joined in, that was the reason, because like someone called me and said, "Hey, did you watch what Jobis was saying?" And I said, you know, I'm gonna watch it right now. I'm not, you know, but I think, you know, we owe, you know, to the public and to ourselves, working with you guys. I've known you guys. So, I mean, if someone goes out there on a public platform and it's recorded, people are sharing and they see this person every single day. And that's why they say, hey, we have to come here at least, you know, to speak truth to power. I mean, if you disagree or someone hurts your feeling, I think it should not propel you to go on a platform and kind of spread some type of misinformation just to the got you part. I think that's very disgusting, and I think that, you know, we all speak up through. I mean, knowing the man, you know, I know Ajera. I mean, that's a low ball. I mean, Fatuba Barrow, and somehow associating him to Fatuba Barrow is just not who this man is. So I think before I say, don't go out there. You know, Musa have family. He got boys, maybe grandkids soon here, but don't get out there because your feelings are a little hurt. Instead of, and to be fair to him, he sent a link to him. I think as an adult, you know, come here, we have a decision. You, as he rightfully said, Musa always say, "Oh no, sorry, you know, yesterday, man, you were very hard. You were very, very hard. You can't take this." This is who he is. I mean, you know that. I know that. Most of the time we don't even agree within ourselves, right? But I think the fundamental here is we can be passionate, discuss issues that are impacting folk without being so personal and getting out there and labeling someone who he is not. He's a very honorable man. He has great character, integrity, and nothing but peace. And I learn a lot from Musa, especially when we have these debates after debate. Whenever the platform is hot as hell, he will call me and say, "Let's be moderate. Let's you know." This is who he is. He said that to me all the time. He says, you know, we can't. But look, we can't do. This is who he is. I mean, we have to respect each other. But if you keep saying, "I'm protesting," but you go out there and double down on your misinformation, and you think that's going to give you an edge, I think you need to think twice, man. I think that's what it is.
No, but look at the platform. bañ the switch platform. So when I saw that they switch platform,
exactly. I said, where you getting that from?
I don't think the Barrow is doing a very good job with me, because believe me. But anyway, there are more important things.
We've been I don't know what kind of platform they want. I mean, do you guys want us here to kind of endorse a party and just come here and just regurgitate a party's platform? That's what you guys want?
No, Musa, I think people need to understand, sir, how this whole thing came about. We've never agreed on anything. And that has what has built and sustained this relationship. It will be early morning calls, Banker and Musa going at it like hell. Then Banker was the protest guy. Everything he did, what's his name? What's his David Thoreau or whatever? What's his something Thoreau?
David Thoreau. And Banker used to get so mad at me.
Oh, yes.
If your own parents, if your own son was kind of prosecuted, you're like Chemical Ali. That's how he used to get that mad.
And it was always like that. In the mornings, it will be back and forth. After work, it will be back and forth. It was never an agreement. And this is why we've never had any discussion before a program and say, this is what we're going to say. Because we understand that we are not the same. We are different. And what we do, we appreciate those differences. We look at our situations differently. Sometimes I would say stuff and Musa, there you go again with the red meat. I think you were very unfair to them. He would say that.
I want to put this.
I agree what you say with what you said, but I really would not have said it.
Disagree the way you said it. Coffee time, don't ever send something on coffee time. And past number, you speak clearly. Like the other day, Basiru Ndao, and we were just talking about Khalifa's, press conference. And I'm like, you know what? The difference between, and we were using you, the difference between Khalifa and Pasamba. Pasamba, when he speaks clearly, you will know where he stands. He speaks very clearly, and the message that he wants to put across. And sometimes, I will call him and go, I don't know, I agree with where you're going, but I would have framed it a little bit differently. I would say that because we are totally two different personalities. Now, if that makes me to have a soft spot for the government or for Dr. Sise, look, but this is what I said. To bring this guy's question, Mune Musa, do you think somebody has got blood on his hands? He does not. You see, we need to be very careful. Words do have meaning. Like I said, I think Dr. Samate is a doctor and I think he's a good man. Now, you gotta understand that Dr. Samate, including even this government, they inherited a structural problem and they haven't done a damn thing about it to change it. Absolutely no doubt about that. But these are difficult, complex structural problems that needed to be addressed. There's a reason why women are still dying during labor. Does that put blood on Dr. Samate's hands? I don't believe that. Do I believe that he gets up every day as Minister of Health and try to make things better? I do believe that. I really do. Now, let's disagree. Let's be critical. Let's talk about that maybe this guy he's incompetent and he needs to be replaced with someone else. I get that. But when you use words like that, calling somebody a murderer, calling somebody, let's say, Mr. Fall, what you're saying, this person maybe has blood on his hands. Come on now. I cannot frame it like that. Let me put it that way. I cannot honestly say Dr. Samate is anywhere close to being a murderer or having blood on his hands. I don't believe that. If you tell me Yahya Jammeh had blood on his hands, I would believe that 100% because he did. That's the difference for me. Words do have meaning, but let's have disagreements. We are always going to have different agreements. Somebody else asked about what are the other channels. I think it was someone that can be exploited. Like I said, I give an example. Pastor, I exploit this channel all the time. We all are on Facebook. We exploit the channel. There are a lot of FM radio stations in the Gambia that every day will speak truth to power. I tune in and I watch Talib Bensouda on Kirfatu. I tune in and I watch Alaji Usainu Dabo talking. I tune in and I watch Barrow reacting. I tune in and every day on the Standard newspaper. Gambia is at a different place. And it's not because of the government now. Remember, guys, And this is where it hurts. It's because of what we have done to bring about those fundamental changes. So I'm not going to sit here and allow people to say things as if we haven't accomplished a darn thing. That is not correct. Gambia is totally at a different place. Now, if somebody chooses to embarrass somebody, Dr. Cisse in New York, that's somehow, ñun fi America la, Gambia feed nañ fi wax. To me, that is like, come on now, Negro, please.
But Musa, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
By his action during COVID, Trump, do you think it would have been fair to blame him for some of the deaths that happened during that period?
Look, I wouldn't say that Trump is a murderer. I wouldn't use words like Trump has.
No. I'm not saying whether he's a murderer.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Look, anytime you're a leader and something happened under your watch, you are going to be held accountable. Absolutely no doubt about that. And the way you are going to be held accountable, what did you do? Because clearly the pandemic, Trump did not create it. It happened under his watch. It could have happened under anybody else's watch. The difference is, how do you react? The guy was lying all over the place, talking about, well, no, you guys are exaggerating this thing, and even sometimes hiding statistics, lying about it. That's what made it dangerous. The guy was basically politicizing the whole thing, thinking that, you know what?
Can I come?
You asked me a question. No. I'm just telling you. How you hold people accountable, it's going to come down to how they handle a situation. Let's go back to Gambia with Dr. Samate. When this case happened, judge him under his watch. How did he handle it?
That's where I was coming.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, what has he done?
Okay,
when it happened, the situation.
When it happened,
they look into it. They investigate. No. As far as I know, the way to hold people accountable as a public official, we need to start to be very fair to people. Just like Khalifa was saying the other day, when I think it was a question that Sarian asked, I believe, and Khalifa said, you cannot judge me on what the National Assembly did. The only way you can judge me is, where did I stand? How did I vote? I mean, because the moment you want to say all the National Assembly, they are all a bunch of corrupt people. I mean, come on now. I'm not saying that's what Sarian said, but sometimes some of us, when we get excited, we make things like that. But it's no different from the National Assembly. We we paint them all with the red brush. Because no one has a total influence. For example, your Minister of Health, people are still going to die in labor because of the structural problem. What the difference is, what Pasamba is going to do about it. That's the difference. How you're going to approach it with honesty and saying this policy is wrong and this is how we're going to remedy it. That's what I'm talking about.
And here is when the thing happened, Musa,
right?
When the whole world knew the source of these medicines, I want you to go back. I'll look for the link and give it to you and hear Dr. Samate.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, how he tried to pretty much excuse the Indians for responsibility in this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when people started losing respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. So how you handle it, yes, it may not have been your responsibility to do it, but if you run a ministry, Musa, the Ministry of Health,
right,
and under your watch, a Syrian Maron, who is a licensed pharmacist, Dr. Samati didn't just join the system now, he's been there forever, knows the in and out of the Ministry of Health and the health system and how it works in the Gambia. But he knows that a Syrian Maron, who is a licensed pharmacist, a Gambian, is taking his license and renting it out to a Musa Jeng, who is not capable of holding a license in the Gambia, so that he will be able to import medication. And you do nothing about it, Musa?
Yeah. I mean, and that's a fair criticism that can be leveled against the system.
So if you're running a whole ministry with all the powers that you have, and you leave that intact, and that led to people importing medications that were contaminated, that killed over 70 young kids, I think people should definitely be out there and call you a murderer if they wanna call you that.
And again, we'll have to agree to disagree. I seriously don't think that. I seriously disagree with your last statement that people have every right to call you a murderer. No. I seriously don't believe that. And go back and as you said, the whole system who import medicine into the Gambia, because they were on Coffee Time, and there were a lot of difficult. Now, like you said, could they have come in and changed the system? The guy was trying to explain the difficulty having licensed pharmacies. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not an expert. Maybe we need to bring those people.
Musa, I understand where you're coming from, but the reason why governments are put in place,
yes,
people are made to run institutions, is to be able to make the difficulties so. Because one thing that has been happening to the Gambia for so long, Musa, is we are always talking about the difficulty or living. Why these are the bottlenecks? No, the reason why you are hired to do a job, it's just like when Musa, you are on coffee for the people by the people here. We know it's not easy coming here and spewing your opinion. You will get pushbacks all over the place. You may get insulted, you may get labeled and all this stuff. But if your excuse is, you know what, man, we are trying, but because of the difficulty that we are facing. No, he knew the difficulties before he took that position. He was there. So the expectation is, if you have not, and Musa, you've been on record calling for transformational leadership.
Yes, and I still do.
So if you are not transformational and you just go by the status quo, if something happens, then you cannot be free of it.
I am not saying nay. Clearly, Dr. Samate or the government has demonstrated that they wanted to bring about change. In 2016, what we wanted to see and what happened are totally different things. Totally. That the very transformational that we are looking for, that's not what we are getting. And that is why come 2026, we want to change that. Understand what I mean? But what I'm saying is, in as much as we are disappointed the way Dr. Samate, being the Minister of Health, this happened under his watch, let's not get carried away with inflammatory language and sensationalism. Yohanna is neither here nor there. Calling the man and insulting his mother and calling him a murderer. I cannot agree to that. I absolutely do not, because I think the guy is a doctor.
But you see, like we were saying, Musa, the way that you have a right to come to a conclusion about a situation is the same way that people have a right to come to another conclusion. And this is why...
Which is okay.
But when this is why you say that, you know what?
When I disagree with you, don't get carried away and lie about me.
No, this is why when Batambedu could not stand the insults, what did he do? He said, you know what? Let me leave you with your job and go and look for something else. If you want to, and you know what? Let me tell you, Hamga Bankasa with all these things has always talking about, let's insult them. The thing is, Musa, the issue that we have in Africa, the decadence, the backwardness that continues to plague our nation. Look at the WAEC exam that just happened right now, whatever it is. Musa, out of over, I think, close to 30,000 students, only 88 no am grade 6. So the overwhelming majority of them would have failed, would be in the streets, hopelessness.
Yes.
So you look at that country, there is nothing that you can look at and say, you know what, is working right.
Yes.
And that's the sad thing. And Musa, our people continue to die. Musa, they are leaving the source of our country and you get them say back way. How many of them died recently? See back way.
A whole lot of them.
Shanghai, Sibopam, Shanghai, where I came from, New Johnson, Ibo Town, they counted about 20 young people who died. Bakau, the same thing. So you have all these things happening to people. But yet this government thinks that people should just come and just clap for them. You should respect us. No, respect us first by doing what you're paid to do. And maybe we'll have a beginning.
Look, we can have an entire program from Bakara Benas to talk about the incompetence of this government and why we want to see change come 2026. But to quote Ali Vasala at his press conference, he made it very clear. Somehow, somewhere along the line, us as individuals, we need to take responsibility. You vote in a government that you basically want, and that's what you are getting. Every 5 years, you are given an opportunity to vote for a government that can bring about transformational change. You refuse to do that as an individual. Instead, you want somebody to play with your ethnic sensitivity. Instead, you want somebody to play with what's in it for me. Instead, you want somebody, and then you want to turn around. Then you tankal. That's what they're doing. Basically, you and I, that's what we do. We have the opportunity to vote these people out of office, bring in people that will be able to at least confront our problem while being deaf. We rationalize. Let's be honest. Let's take responsibilities as well. We agree we have a bad government. I agree. The educational results say the status of the health situation in the country says it. The economic situation is as clear as day. But the question is, what do we do about it? Calling people murderers and they have blood in their hands? I'm not doing that. Because I want to effect change. So I'm going to engage them in a very constructive manner and be very critical. Because we all know, Gambians knew who we are. You talk to me a certain way, I give you the finger. And I move on. What is that going to do to the poor farmer? You want to bring about changes in the agricultural system? You do it in a way, yes, but I'm not saying appeasing the government. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, Pasamba, we have to fine tune and do something because you're every day, like I said, I got to go back to your Tuesdays. When something come up, you put the government on defense and you see the results. They will either walk back or they will come to try to clear the air or they will even actually change. That's how it's supposed to be.
You know what? I've sent Nana Fred.
No, Musa, I think I listened to you guys, and I think I agree in principle what Coach is saying. You're in reference of transformational leadership, and leadership is about solving problems, right? So some days you come in, things are great. Some days, it's not so great, right? So, but the fundamental here is you cannot continue as a leader to adjust with the status quo, especially knowing the job that you fulfill and how impactful that is to the people that you serve. I mean, there are people that needs to be confronted, even though you are no drama guy, but leadership position, you have to piss them off to get things shaken. And I think just being mild, I mean, we watch, with all due respect to Dr. Samade, he went to Parliament and says, I need help. During COVID, I think, all the money he's a minister. I mean, I know he's a political appointee and all that stuff, but what are you going to do? I mean, if you think somehow the COVID money was, given during that time when people needed most, and someone within your ministry is diverting that to a personal use, what would be your first recourse? I mean, without even intervention of the National Assembly, I think I would bring order, meeting, transparency, communicate directly that, first of all, you should have a rules of engagement or SOPs that someone cannot do this, and make sure you remind that person. And if it's not, you step up your game and hold those people accountable. And I think it goes both ways. How do we hold someone accountable if that person is not forcefully getting out there and shaking the status quo to put it in a better position? I mean, they had scandals. I mean, a couple of 2 months ago, the nurses at the main hospital came forward and was like talking and saying all kind of stuff. But you just cannot be cool and collected when the status quo is going the other way. I mean, transformational leadership, I'm telling you. Colin Powell has great quotes about this. He said the day soldiers stop bringing their problems to you, either they lost confidence on the type of leadership, or they don't trust, and it all sum up to failure of leadership. So he summed this very well, and across the board, we all use this at a leadership academy, and Colin Powell is very, very famous in doing that, and he says, if he ain't break, don't fix it. Keep it simple. Simple, KISS. Keep it simple and stupid. That's what he calls it, right? So I think it all goes into people who needs to be confronted. And I think when I listen to Halifa too, he telegraphed. He says, basically, you voted what you getting right now. If you really honestly think that you deserve better, think about it. You have the power. The power lies in your hand to change. And I think that message is very, very clear. And I think you need to listen to that with an open mind. When he came over here, he said, Seriang, I think you started the conversation, but we need to ramp this up. People knew. If people, I like his answer on the 2024 Constitution. He said, I think besides what the government did, they went behind closed doors and draft what they want, not what the people want, right? He says, but there is this much conversation now. People are aware. Because first of all, I was like, okay, what is it? But after listening to him, he says, people are aware. I think it will charter a path whereby we'll have this whole conversation. And hopefully, people will be energized to drive the conversation where they want. So you got what you want. But if you want the status quo, if you want flooding, if you want folks to line up at the pharmacy to buy their own medication, right? I mean, high cost of living, nothing working, rampant corruption. Think about it. How do you change that? The power lies in your hand, not in my hand. So you choose a leader who you think is best suited to bring that type of change to you. And I think that's very, very fundamental.
It is. I'm talking about Colin Powell.
I speak that maybe today they might say Seriang is doy today, but I must be honest with you, because but to be honest with you, some of I think I stole this to Coach. I said some of the policies, right? Even in the Western world, we embrace this. I mean, social democrat, right? Government intervene when it's necessary and help its citizens, right? The idea of cooperative credit unions trying to help. We have that over here, right? How about grants that the government continue to give to folks? Even this hurricane right now, businesses come in and help. Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, all that stuff. Government intervention is necessary in a government. If the government is not doing and enriching themselves, everything is about themselves, we need to look into the mirror and kind of step back and look at it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think that, you can beat this horse to death, but it is what it is. And, this is a democracy where every action will be subjected to debate and arguments, counter arguments, and all that.
Yes.
Let's just continue this trend, and let's continue to agree without being disagreeable. But again, if you feel like protesting, go out there and protest like there is no tomorrow. A democracy that is devoid of protest is not a democracy. We have to build a culture of protest in our country, and don't let anybody tell you how you go to do it. You protest in your own way.
But also, anybody can protest in their own way. But there is also a kind of protest that I do believe will kind of put our evolving democracy. I call it the other day and you get mad. It's democracy on road. You did not like me saying that. And I'm like, we need to be careful. We have this beautiful baby that we've been nurturing for the past 6 years, 7 years. Hopefully one of these days, the baby will start. I mean, when do kids start to walk? The baby will start running. And then hopefully the baby would get to manhood. That's what we want as a country. We want to nurture this democracy. We want to nurture the rule of law. We want to nurture the independent judiciary. We do not want to get back to where we were. We are not there yet. That is why the failure of that aspiration that we want to bring about change. And Ma'am Lisa, nobody is condoning insult. I'm not saying you're condoning insult. What I'm saying is, and I'm not saying people should not call out Dr. Samate Ma'am Lisa. That's not what I'm saying. I said insulting Dr. Samate's mom and calling him a murderer. I was disgusted. unless you think there's something wrong with what I said. I never said people should not disagree with Dr. Samate. Dr. Samate is not my man. I don't even know the man. I'm just like you. I have an opinion about him. Do I believe that the government that he's currently serving can bring transformational change in the health sector? I don't believe that. That is why come 2026, I want to see change. Where we can have a difference, Ma'am Lisa, is the approach that we are taking. What you guys did was you were on a platform cheerleading somebody who was making stuff up. That's where I kind of get my disappointment a little bit. Making stuff up. But anyway, bro, did you
but Musa, you gotta be. But I thought Ma'am Lisa said when they call in, her and Tuklor push back on Jobis.
What they said was, I listened. Tuklor, dem ne ko no man waxuma lol yep. Daf ne man waxuma lol yep. Man li ma wax moy ne. Understand? There is a difference to say, look, just like they supported Jobis, his rights to go out there and question Dr. Samate, they should have confronted him and said, look, you're making things up about this man. This is not the man that we know. I was angry at him and I disagree with him. But the things that you're saying, it's not true. They did not say that. And then another guy called him and said, this Musa Jang is a very wicked man. Oh my God. But anyway, we're personalizing it too much. Bro,
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Mose. Go ahead.
No, I wanted us to get on another segue because there are some other.
No, go ahead. That's what yeah, please do.
There were interviews, bro. I saw Mr. Ben Suda, his interview on Ketfatu. Actually, you called my attention to it when I saw your reaction, Sariang. I'm like, oh, I gotta listen to this. I really gotta. It was a very interesting interview, extremely interesting, and oh my God, most of you viewers, you know how I feel about the man. Do I know him well? I don't. Is it possible sometimes accusations are made about him that maybe he's corrupt and he's not? I don't know about that. But one thing that I know, listening to that interview, I'm telling you, I wouldn't mind to roll the dice on this man come 2026. I wouldn't mind for the country to roll the dice on him and take a chance. Because you see, any leader that you're going to elect 2026, you're taking a chance. No guarantees, my friend. Absolutely no guarantees. But the interview that I saw, somebody who understands policies, somebody who understands processes, somebody who is very honest and authentic in his answers. Look at the two fundamental issues that they went after him about the passport saga and the supposedly hiring his auntie. And I'm telling you, even though I criticize Fature a little bit, because some of the questions were really softball questions and the way she framed it, and it was aggressively challenging.
I hear a little bit of echo in the background. Nene, can you mute?
Maybe it's Nene.
Okay.
But aside from that, what the man said about the passport saga was, look, this is the situation. This is what happened. Can you really take that? NPP and their supporters and people don't really care for him. They're taking that and trying to run away with it. I said here the last program, there was an error in judgment. And I still maintain that. Knowing the kind of country that we have, the kind of government and the kind of culture that we have, anyone should be very careful when you make decisions like that. But that so that the man is dishonest? No, I don't think so. About his supposed auntie. My goodness, the lady was working for KMC in 1987 before the guy was even, he said, I was 2 years old. How in God's name can you listen to, now you can come, and this is where I think Fature failed to push it a little bit. And that is the processes, how the person won the contract. Was there a bidding process? Leaving that interview, I don't know whether all that happened. But either way, I was really impressed. I don't know whether, I think Sariang, you listened to the interview. I think the man, he knows issues and he thinks outside of the box. Another example before you come in, they asked him about Nawik. Instead of going through the same old criticism, yeah, these are a bunch of corrupt officials, such as in Halisby. He said, if we continue with the same business model, there is no way on earth we can change this. It happened going all the way back. 3 governments, during Jawara, during Jame, and during Barrow. So there is something wrong somewhere. He's telling us, you need to change the business model. You have to come up with something different. Look, I'll roll the dice on somebody, a leader that would think like that, instead of just the usual opposition, the usual corrupt officials. They're corrupt. But there is a fundamental structural problem that needs to be dealt with. Same thing about accusation, what happening, these commissions. What did he say? I'm selecting the ones that impress me. He said, look, if it happens in URR, it happens in CRR, it happens in LRR, it happens in Western Division, and now it's happening in KMC, maybe there's a system problem. Forget about the officials. They're corrupt. You put Sariang Marion there, Director of Finance in Western Division, maybe Sariang would do the same thing. I know Pasamba would do the same thing. So he's saying it's a system problem. You change the system, you're beginning to address it. I was impressed with the young man. Definitely, I was, Sariang.
Coach, give your take. Then it comes to me, then roll to Nene. Because I know Nene is all ready. I'm smiling and everything.
Yeah, no, in all honesty, I did not watch the whole interview. I just, got glimpses of it. And I think from what I heard, he, put forward some very lucid arguments. But like the so-called scandals also, I did not get to that. I think the one thing that I really heard him speak about was when he was talking about the arrest of the journalists.
Yes.
And having issues with it, because he said he's being a subject of those speculations for so long, and nobody has ever done anything to anybody. But of course, Barrow is a very thin-skinned. This is me speaking. Thin-skinned guy. And you have a police force that is now being politicized. And this is not the first time. We've seen it. Nene Ifreda is right here. Went through it. I just remember writing something, the anniversary was yesterday, on that same issue with Nene. And this whole nonsense that they're talking about, oh, nobody has been jailed, nobody has been in prison, and all that foolishness. I know I'm deviating a little bit, but I have to say that because I may not be here long. It's all utter nonsense, because this is the same government that had a ruling from the court in favor of Nene Freda government sitting right here. They refuse to act on those court orders. This is the same government. They're talking about, oh, nobody has ever been jailed. Do you remember Alaji Bora? When he was abducted, because abduction, that's what it was, for 6 days without praise, in violation of the Constitution, only to be dumped somewhere in the streets. There was a court order. When he went to court, and the court ruled that he should be compensated, was there any compensation made? And this argument about imprisonment and jailing. When I was arrested on the 9th of October, 2013, you know what I was called? Prisoner number 36. That was my name. That's how I was being identified. Sohna was prisoner number 35. Oz was prisoner number 37. So don't play semantics with us, with words. And you cannot run a government that is... You cannot run a government that respects fundamental rights and freedom, a government that respects the Constitution, but relies on technicalities to abuse people. When you call Emadi Jobate for questioning, because he said, where's our rice? And then said, you know what, oh, we're just going to wait for the 72-hour rule before we can release him. And then you take him to a court that may not have the jurisdiction to hear such a case, only for the judge to say, well, I do not have the jurisdiction to hear the case, so I'm remanding you in custody, and then we are moving the court now to the High Court. Those are violations of rights. The very spirit of the Constitution, the language, the spirit of the Constitution when it came to 74-hour detention is that your rights would not be violated. But when you start doing these things, like they say here, you cannot have your cake and eat it. Isn't that what they say? You want to go to the United Nations and tout democracy and human rights, respecting free press. But you have no problem arresting an editor and a reporter because they wrote a story that you have an exit strategy. That's what they wrote. He has an exit strategy. There are rumors that he's planning to have Mohammed Jah to succeed him. You arrest that person, those people. You charge them with frivolous laws, obnoxious laws, laws that we decried during the Jammeh days. Publication of false information. My foot. And then you want to call yourself a Democrat? Nobody should question you? And what was your answer? Well, if this country was not democratic, Ousseynou Dabo and some of these UDP people would have been in jail because they violated many laws. Which laws have they violated? Which laws? And this is the sad state of our country, Musa. You have to believe in something. And there are people telling the president we need to teach these people a lesson. We cannot allow people to be writing things about you. And the lie, the biggest lie, is that it's going to undermine. They said it's going to undermine the confidence of possible investors. Are you kidding me? What would have been more enhancing of our stability, of our democracy, if Adamo Barrow were to wake up and say, you know what? Because I respect term limits, I'm not going to offer myself for as a candidate in 2026, Musa. How many people would have praised the country around the world as a beacon of hope in a continent where every day we see people changing constitutions to self-perpetuate themselves in power? This is utter nonsense. And when you talk, they say, oh, you have to respect us too. You know, we are serving the country. No, you're not. You are serving your damn self. Because if you're serving the country, you will not be trying to put in the head of this man that nobody, he is beneath criticism. What they are trying to build is an imperial presidency where nobody can say anything about Barrow. And they will use Jammeh. Jammeh do not nangulide. That's why Jammeh is in exile today. But anyway, Nene Fred, welcome.
Yeah.
No. Nene is gonna go. I'm gonna go. I was gonna give Nene the last word. She is very excited. I can tell that right now. So.
Go ahead, because I'm gonna take you a little bit back.
Musa. Okay, yeah, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
On this particular issue, because I intend to go a little bit back.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So Musa, as you both said, I watched the interview. And I think as I said at the initial stage, and I think this whole conversation rolled into, well, we had that, your opinion, what you think about someone, and we have to speak the truth. And when we sit on the platform, we don't have a prior discussion or an opinion about what topics that we're going to raise here. We speak on real time and how we felt based on our personal experience. And I watched that interview, as you guys both said. And I share my opinion on my page. That was a great interview. And I think if people goes out there and say, you did this, it's incumbent upon you as a leader to set the record straight. And who is there to make a determination whether one person is wrong or not? I think that's what the commission is all about. And I think the calmness, the confidence that he exerted. I mean, when people try to agitate you, they throw stones at you, pull all those stones and put them in the box. And you don't want to throw it back. You stay there, you stay on the facts, you stay on the message. As you said, if someone not saying we're going to continue with the status quo, but says, how do we harness and resolve this issue? For 3 past governments, we had the same issue. There is actually a systematic and a fundamental problem. That's what we need to look at. We need to do a deep dive of the issue with pragmatism and solve the issue. And I think it calls into the type of leader who he is, right? You can call him all the names you want, but at the end of the day, facts matters. You can write a whole page on your Facebook, being personal, being he corrupt. Where is the beef? Show us. And he said it. If you think, I did anything wrong, the police are there, come and arrest me. I mean, I think that person stand apart from, the bandwagon. And I think, as I said, I wish he could come more and speak directly to the media and folks listening to him. And I think that's what we need. And across all the leaders, because if someone is alleging you did this, you did that, I think the fundamental key is if you're saying that we should not be judgmental about someone, that person also, as a leader, has the right to defend himself. And I think that's what he did. But I think, Musa, there are key issues that he spoke on. And you can gauge either what side of the political spectrum you're on, the mastery of issues, and knowing that this is something that I know. And this whole thing about castigating him and all that, he says, you know what? I'm not bluffing. But you know what? I was well off before I came into politics. And life will be okay after post-politics. And I think it's an honest, you can't take, it's true hard work. If someone says, I had my own company when I was in the 20s, and I was able to do this in progress, and I think it's a bragging right, and you cannot take that away from him. You cannot. And I've seen a lot of people hand out, why didn't your parents hand things to you? My parents didn't hand anything. Yours didn't do it. He did it. And it was not a gift from the sky. They work hard for it. So you can be jealous all you want. You can castigate him all you want. But the fact of the matter is he worked through it. He earned it. And he needs to brag about it. So I think it's very, very clear. We keep talking about private sector. The experience that you bring in. I think if there's a clear playing field, they're not hamstringed with this bureaucracy that he said, if an issue arises in Brikama, in Mansakonko, in Basse, let's look at those key folks who are involved in this. What are the parameters set forth? What are the rules? Because I think one thing I like about this, the rules that you set forth to tie our hands, take that rule apart and see what, if I had the power to say someone did this and I have the power and I'm not going to get pushed back, I'm going to act on it. What is in the best interest of the people that I serve? And I think that is very, very fundamental. We can all go in there and accuse and counter accuse, but what is the responsibility? I think the government hasn't come out, these bad laws that they put in place. And I also, one thing that was very, very intriguing was, let's look at the rules, first of all, why they were in place. Jammeh thought that, what is his name? Like Conte was very powerful on doing that. And and say, okay, I'm going to insist. But the government that came in 2016, 2017, that we all aspire going to be like the hope and change for the whole entire Gambia, maintain these laws. Why couldn't they took it apart? Take it apart, give autonomy to these chairs to act upon things that they can straighten out within the purview of their jurisdiction. They didn't do that. They maintained the same law, hamstring. Well, if someone is being alleged that he has corruption, you move him from one area to another. And what are you doing? And you are accusing, finger pointing for, give me a break. You know, that I think that's what the keys are here. And this, speaking about press freedom and all that, Coach talks about it. I mean, Nene is here, Mahdi, Bora, Mohammed, what is Mohammed's last name? All of them were victims because they spoke. And we can tell. Just the interview, he was in Mankamankunda having a good time, just because they invoked Megabank, he was so all wrapped up and so angry. And you can tell from the audio, and he was going on the line to be so disrespectful. It's just not the best way to do it. And I think one thing if we have to take, we need to listen to folks when they come on media, regardless, it's a PR. It's not a PR. Fadu Ture grew up and she learned a lot and she has to make people come to and have an engagement. You don't have to be combative. You can challenge them, but you don't have to be combative. I mean, she did the best that she can. And I think, Mayor Bensouda answered the question, and I think it's up to the viewers to make their decision. But overall, I think kudos, and we need to continue having these conversations. And I think what it does is it harness and it kind of, highlight these leaders what they have to offer if they've been given the opportunity. So great interview overall, and I'm very excited, very excited. With that, over to my sister Nene. You have the floor now.
Did you know that she just celebrated her birthday, her 26th birthday?
Oh, happy birthday down. And Juka too as well, Juka also had a birthday. Yes.
Yes. Sister. Boy, the birthdays all over the place.
We are the Libra queens, right? Myself, Fatmata was the first, Fatmata Rahman October. Yes. I was the 8th of October, and Juka was right after me, the 9th of October. So we really control October, okay?
I see.
October dal ku se judu wat dal nañu laaj nañ la hejal. Ube amulo class.
Definitely.
Anyway, Musa, hey, my brother, I miss you. Sharia, how are you, my dear? And Sharia, congratulations on your marriage, right? Boy, you have a beautiful face out there. That's gorgeous.
He knows how to pick
That's why I keep smiling, Sister Nene. I don't know whether you heard this in Mandinka. So that's what it is, man.
Brother, I don't blame you. You got good taste. You know how to pick. You know how to pick. So take care of my sister, please. I know you'll do that.
No problem, then we'll do, inshallah.
Yeah, Coach is muted for a little bit, but sending greetings to Coach again. So now this is the thing. The reason why I really wanted to come on was when you guys were going back and forth about this protest in New York, the actions of the individuals and here and there. I had made a comment, right? And obviously, I'm sure you all know my position when it comes to protest. I believe, people should have the right to protest if they do not agree with whatever it is and all that. But also, I always say to myself, it has to be done responsibly. That I cannot really take away. People have to be responsible and accountable for their actions. Because what I believe is, if I'm aggrieved or disgruntled about a situation and want to protest, I cannot overstep my boundaries and cause certain things to the other person, right? Which means, I am really not doing just to the situation and to other people. So we need to be very, very considerate, right? We need to be respectful. We need to be considerate. We need to be empathetic, without a doubt. However, I really supported that protest. I told kudos to the guys. What I did not agree with, like Musa said, one thing, cussing Dr. Samate's mother. Because to be honest, Dr. Samate's mother has no business in what was happening in New York or what Dr. Samate does. Dr. Samate himself should take responsibility of his action and should be accountable for his actions and utterances and doings. Him and nobody else, right? So whatever people tell Dr. Samate, I don't have a problem, but not his mother. So those ones I condemn. The other thing I want to condemn was, I call them fabrications and misinformation towards Musa Jeng. I got only a snippet of it, and I was like, oh, oops, I think this is unjust, and this is just not right. We can disagree to disagree, and that is the beauty of democracy. Because whatever you have done, somebody else, you did it in public. It's not in your bedroom. So you give people to have an opinion, to critique and to say whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't have to be correct, but that is their opinion. So you have to respect that as well, but you cannot go after them with personal attacks and fabrications and disinformation or whatever. To me, that is pit bottom low, and that's really speaks. It makes me think everything you've been telling me, because if you tell me something about Sharian that I know Sharian very well, Musa comes to tell me something about Sharian, which I know is not true. Now I start to question Musa. Everything else you have told me, do I now start to go back and ask whether it's true or not?
No, correct.
That's you begin to open the Pandora box and you put yourself in a situation that people will start to question you. So that's why I always say, fight hard, fight smart, but fight with honesty, fight with integrity, fight. And when you lose, lose based on principle. You don't have to be scared of losing, but be sure that you can defend your position, you can defend your stance. I respect those kind of people. I respect those stands. So that was really uncalled for and all that. But another thing I disagree with Musa was saying that he cannot agree Samate being called a murderer, right? Samate was one time a surgeon working at a hospital. He became the CMD of the hospital. I knew Samate, I've worked with him. You know, I don't call him a friend now, but once upon a time, he was a brother and a friend. But when situations change, I do not want to affiliate or align to call him a friend anymore because, again, our beliefs and ideas and alignments have changed, right? Which he respects, but we're still cordial. I will not curse his mother. I will not curse him using certain words or languages, but I'm going to tell him the truth, which I have done over and over and over, and he knows that, right? And he hears it. But then, with the position that he's holding now, at the time that the things happened, that was the death of the kids, first with the COVID, right? He refused to show remorse for the mismanagement of the COVID situation that caused a lot of deaths under his watch as the minister and the buck stop at his table. He reports to nobody but the president of the republic, right? So which means his position is powerful, his position comes with authority, and his position comes with responsibility. And he should really take it very seriously and be remorseful, be empathetic, be considerate to people's plight. That job is not for him because of the status, because of the position, because of the benefit. It's a place of service. And all he needs to do is serve nobody else but the people, not even the president that appointed him. And in my view, I failed to see that happen during the COVID period. Now we push forward the AKI incident. The same thing was done, right? A lot of people, a lot of children, vulnerable kids died. A lot of children died from vulnerable families. But what did Samati do? Because I heard Coach was saying that he was going to look for that video. We all saw it. It's public knowledge. It's out there in the open. The way he addressed it. The way the president also came on to defend Samate on those stands, right? So now, if a mother of one of those kids, right, stands and sees Samate, the way he behaved, the way he handled the situation, and the president also protected Samate, right, because of the way he handled it himself, and even to the extent of like, this is not the largest number of deaths we've ever had here, and things like that. You know, I paraphrase, not exactly that's what he said, but it, you know, to just kind of paraphrase his utterance. As a mother, I can stand and tell Samate, my son died because of your negligence, or I can tell Samate, you murdered my son. As a mother whose son or whose child died under those circumstances, right? Not necessarily that Samate took a knife and killed somebody, right? But it's the language that is necessary at that moment from an aggrieved mother whose son or daughter died because of somebody's negligence. They could have done something. But they came to defend those companies. They came to defend those people that has warranted the death of many people. Do we know that kids are still dying because of all those medicine? And the other thing that makes it worse is we have people who are not honest. They keep on lying and hiding information from the public because of fear of criticism. And leader doesn't behave that way. So poor man, I will not beat anybody or frown on anybody that stands there and calls Samate a murderer, because he put himself in a situation that people are so aggrieved and angry to look at him and say, you murdered my child, you murdered 6 kids, you murdered 80 kids. And we need to give it to them, because if we try to force and say, no, don't call Samate murderer, don't call him somebody, in my view, we're trying to trivialize their pain, because justice has not served. They're still going back and forth in court, trying to seek for justice, trying to make these people accountable. So let's also be considerate about those people and be mindful not to force them to not say certain things because of we feel it's not diplomatic or it's not correct or whatever. You know, something happened for that to warrant. When Samate was the surgeon or the CMD, he had never had anybody call him a murderer. And people were dying, like Musa, you've said. People were dying, maternal mortalities was happening. People were dying, you know, because of accidents. People were dying because light was going off or something was not happening. But nobody called him a murderer. But this is an isolated incident, a situation that warranted for that to happen. Because at the heat of things, I use that language. I didn't say Samate murdered them, but I said all these kids were murdered because giving them medication that was bad and they all died like chicken. I said they were all murdered, and I still stand by that. Now,
Nene, I
yes, go
respect everything that you have said. I respect the fact that Samate, under his watch, these things did happen. No one can disagree with it.
Right.
And at the heat of the moment, there's absolutely no doubt about that. There was a lot of bob and weaving and trying to create excuses because they knew the profundity of what happened. Kids died. Now, use of language, this is where I would disagree with you. At the heat of the moment, an aggrieved mother can say anything. Yo ya rey suma domji sunu dom yo ya ko rey. I get that. I honest to God do get that. What I'm saying is, I have a totally different take. I don't think, because for me, Dr. Samate is a doctor. I don't think that Dr. Samate is a murderer.
A professional for that matter. Yeah, he's a doctor.
You know, I seriously don't believe that. Now, based on what happened under his watch, whatever excuses they try to frame it, whatever they say that we inherited a structural problem, what are they doing about it? I think that's how these people should be held accountable. Now, for me, this inflammatory language, Nene, does not help the conversation because I think it shuts the door pretty much. The way you have to go back to New York and see the man that was going after Samate, and then just trying to, you think Dr. Samate is going to be responsive to what this man is saying? He will not. He was not going to pay him any mind. But a Nene making the argument on a platform, whether it's on Coffee Time, whether it's here just like you did, I think that would be much more impactful to at least change a policy more so than calling the person a murderer. Now, like I said, words do have meaning. Like, we do. Even Kini, Mam Lisa, 2 Sundays ago, when we were talking about Jobies, and I said, attention seeker and then grandstanding. You throw words around. And I thought maybe that's the one that made Jobies very angry. Understand what I mean? And that's why he reacted the way he reacted. If I were to go back, maybe I would say the attention seeker part. In as much as I disagree with the way they went about it. Words do have meaning sometimes, and people could just take it differently. When you call me a murderer, it changes everything. I mean, my failure, my incompetence, I inherited a structural problem. Whatever policy prescription that I'm putting in place, we're all gonna understand. This is not a government that's gonna bring about huge changes. I don't think they have it in them. I really just don't. But do I believe that they're just a bunch of murderers? I don't. Are they just replicating what we had during the time of Jammeh? I don't. And I want to go back to something that Pasamba said when we were trying to talk about. I thought, Nene, that you would talk about the interview. I'm sorry you saw the interview, but your man was.
I'm coming to that. I'm gonna leave the best for last.
There is something that Pasamba said about Barrow's pronouncement at the Onga. You see, for me, both can be true. When Barrow said that, because you got to understand one thing. When you go to a forum like that, Gambia has a reputation. They know of Gambia during the time of Jammeh. A country under a dictatorship, a country where people were dying, a country where political prisoners was the name of the day, a country where technocrats will be picked up and sent to prison for the next 2-3 years without going through. That's the country that they know about. So clearly, I don't think it is totally hyperbolic for President Barrow to stand there and say, this is a new Gambia, where political prisoners we do not have, where, journalists are not sent to prison. Now, I heard what Pasamba said, and what most people do say, that there are a lot of people that get called for questioning. Whether it's Nene, whether it's Madi Jobate, whether it's even Dr. Sise himself. To me, that is a stain to our evolving democracy. But it does
But
not preclude.
Musa,
Oh,
there is a difference. No, wait. There is a difference. No, wait, hang on, Harad, there is a difference between calling for questioning and arresting and detaining.
No, Tegluma, I don't want us to
and jailing actually.
Okay. I don't want us to get into semantics and passing of words. Who's a jailer and who is a prisoner and who is that? To me, Lolo Dafa muddy the waters. Look, what I'm saying is this. If you are President Barrow, you are out there talking to the whole world. You want to present the new Gambia that he did not necessarily create. You guys got to be careful now. This is a Gambia, many that we have created. So for him to say that this is the new Gambia, I don't think that is completely way off the mark, because it's not a place where days gone by where political prisoners was the name of the day. I remember we went to Washington when Khalifa Salah, Ahmad Ba, Omar Amadou Jallo, they were all sent to mine too, picked up. That was the name, that was the name at that time. So here he has an opportunity to talk to the whole world. He's telling them, look, this is a different Gambia. Where I agree with Pasamba is you are saying that, and your advisors are telling you to handpick Voice newspaper by basically saying this person is your potential successor. To me, I don't even think, to me, it's just politically stupid. Because I, honest to God, cannot understand how anyone would advise the president that you go ahead and call this guy for questioning because of those utterances. And you know what? I think, again, he cannot be absolved of his responsibility as the president, but his advisors, the chief of staff, for heaven's sake, why in God's name, you are the chief of staff, managing the administration of the president, why would you allow him? Forget about even calling for questioning, but even the civil action against this journalist, to me, is neither here nor there. Seriously speaking, how does this harm the president? Oh, Mohammed Jai is going to be your successor. Oh, yeah? You flew into Banjul International, journalists you were late. No, Mohammed Jai is not going to be my successor. Actually, I'm running in 2026, and this is what I intend to do. Easy, and get it over with. But for you to listen to some stupid advice, you just go ahead and waste your time and elevate a stupid story. That's why I found it totally nonsensical. And all it does is undermine, give the Pasambas of this world to question the utterances that you said that were solid. Yes, Gambia is totally at a different place. But because of this stupid calling people for questioning, it's neither here nor there. All it does is undermine, and I call it a stain to our evolving democracy. And it's unfortunate. But it doesn't.
Musa, but that's not the only thing he does, though. He also said the press conferences that Dabo did and the words that they uttered, they can get arrested. This is a man who is.
I'm talking about the statement he made in New York. I'm not saying there are a lot of dumb things and things that the president says sometimes, most of the time, that undermines, become a stain to our evolving democracy. As if they are wishing some of the things that Jammeh used to do. And these people are kind of giving him that advice. Oh, so don't Jammeh Finekali can do wahli. That is idiotic. The president he needs to remove those people. Bring in people they will tell it as it is. They will tell you what your legacy is and where this country is at this moment. Because Gambia, if I could borrow from Harris, we ain't going back. You bet your bottom dollar we are not going back to whatever he thinks. So if you're gonna go on a forum, international forum, and have bragging rights where this country is, you better make sure that you don't turn around and stain it with these actions. That's my take on that, Nene.
No, Musa, here's a question before Nene comes in. I want to ask you this question though, because I think I see where the argument is being framed, and it's quite interesting, especially where Nene inferred saying that, what is the difference? Why couldn't we call him a murderer or something like that? But the fundamental question is, What do you think, especially when it comes to the AKI, where the poisonous drugs actually taking the lives of so many innocent folks? And are those, would you call that murder? And who is responsible for those?
Well, the government is responsible for those. No doubt about that. It's absolutely happened under their work, under their policies. They are the ones that created a structure where, medicines are being imported into the country. You have to have the regulatory mechanism to make sure that those medicines are safe. You are the one elected to do exactly that. By failure to do that, you are absolutely accountable. But what I'm saying is, Sarian, it's a complex problem, and we need to deal with it complexly rather than reducing it to name calling and using words, inflammatory words. Like Nene said, ne, kumer. I get it. Yare sumadom. I get that. Understand? I understand that, and maybe I would even say the same thing. Government bi ñore suma xale bi ni 6 years old, non-medicine bi ni. Your job is to protect, to make sure that those medicines are safe. Your failure to do that, you are accountable. Should he have been sacked? Yes. Should he have resigned and said, you know what, this happened under my watch? Let me allow somebody else to come and do the rectification. I get that. But if it's a far cry from thinking that that man is a murderer. I just disagree. I just disagree. Really. So, Nene.
Yes, Musa. Yes. See, this is the thing. I understand you, Musa. You see, if it was the Minister of Justice or the Minister of Disinformation or Minister of Health goes to New York and make utterances, right? I will not agree with it if it's not true, but we can put it out there for subject of debate and things like that. But if the president says it, poor man, it should be cast in stone. So the president should not have. You can say it's a new Gambia. In your view, me and you will not agree. Yes, there has been a change, which we brought about as the people, not him. There is a change. But then the new Gambia that we yearn for, the new Gambia that made us fought so hard to bring about the change, we are yet to achieve that. We are yet to be there. And that's the honest truth, right? We're all going to agree to that. So for optics' sake, you can stand there and say, it's a new Gambia. But to go into details, to be specific and say, there is no this, there is no this, there is no... When you know, at the moment that you were saying that, that's not a true statement. Before you were saying that, that's not a true statement. That's where I have a problem with. And then again, this is a trend. Let's remember the NAWEC issue. The president had talked about the NAWEC. We had generators. We have enough capacity. There are some machines that, we did not put on. We have put them off. And the question is, how can you put off what you have not put on? But anyways, that's his own language, right? But to know that he was misled, right? And nothing happened. What did we see happen? People were promoted to higher position. People were switched. There was some flip-flop. That's how the president deals with situations that cause people havoc in this country. And I am saying that is not right. That is not what a president should do. And that's what we should speak against. No to that. You are representing us. You cannot go to that highest body and say things that are untrue, that us in the Gambia know is untrue. Even the people who are not in the Gambia know that it's not true. If we don't condemn it, then we are accomplices. We are condoning things that are not right. That's where I am speaking from. Yeah, other people can go into the semantics of, political prisoners, detained, imprisoned, jail, and things like that. But what remains the truth, the fact is, what he said was not the truth at the time. And I think we all need to call it what it is.
You can, where I agree is, it's not the complete truth, but I'm just saying that both can be true. Because like I said, it's a country that has a reputation in the international circles, and the president, and if I were him, I would basically make that same argument that this is a country at a different place. Remember, you said he did not do it, we created it. We need to be careful sometimes. We cannot, in one hand, to say that, you see, this new democracy and an independent judiciary opposition, you and I, we will always come out and say, no, mom, you create. But if there is something challenging in that process, oh, that's the government, that's not us. It doesn't work like that. The reality is we have done something great, and the world needs to be reminded that, look, you international community, here is a new Gambia that you can bring investments. You international community, we do not have political prisoners. You international community, we do not have prisoners, journalists been arrested, slaughtered. That's the reputation that we have. Look, I don't think there is anything wrong with what he said.
Okay, but Musa, here's my Musa. I'm gonna. Nene, let me throw this curveball. Nene, let me throw this curveball. Let me throw this curveball to my boss here. But Musa, here's a fundamental thing that I'm listening to you. Where do you draw the dichotomy in terms of you have a constitution that is gone around both nationally, internationally, and they said, okay, based on human rights and democratic norms and what we yearn for, we're gonna lessen the number of hours that we say if we detain someone from 72 hours to 48 hours. You draw a new constitution. You said, no. We have to instill the 72 hours. Now, in terms of protest, delivering petitions to whoever that person's supposed to be, now you're saying, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take a clause from 1997. But where do you draw the line in terms of when you are when we go back and say, hey, we have the democratic gains, but also we copy and paste the 1997 Constitution, where they call it draconian laws. How do you make that fine line? I think that the argument needs to be centered around how do you make that fine line, and where do you draw the dichotomy between what folks aspire, the will of the people, and these laws that continue to hunt folks, the 72 hours versus the 48 hours, the right of citizens to show up at a protest without having to apply for a permit, and the permit be approved based on some skewed, national security tendencies. I guess I wanted to hear that perspective from you. How do you draw the line?
If I understand your question, because you cannot put me as if everything that you said, I think that made him the wrong messenger. But it doesn't change the fact that the utterances that came out of his mouth, which you and I fought for and created this new Gambia, it's the truth. But because of his propensity to kind of become a prisoner of calling people for questioning, or basically taking the people's constitution and basically go in there to make some of these changes that clearly doesn't help where this country needs to go. I agree with you. He makes him a very bad messenger for that. Really?
It doesn't only make him a bad messenger, he makes him a bad actor of democracy. And in fact, I just have to take this opportunity.
I agree.
Yes, no.
Thank you, Coach. Coach understood my question, and hopefully Nene does too. So.
No, let me come. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my comrade, one of the most genuine defenders of human rights in the world, Madi Jobate, for establishing the Edward Francis Small Center for Human Rights and Justice.
Yes.
I think it is absolutely time. But here, Musa, here is the issue, Musa.
Oh.
When we started fighting for human rights, for those that are new, I'm talking about me, it did not start with Yaya Jammeh. It started with a country, a government, where the country they led was seen as the champion of human rights in Africa. That was the PPP regime.
You did it. Hey.
And one of the things that they used to do, there was a provision in our constitution that said that you cannot detain anybody for more than 48 hours. And they had a strategy. They would arrest Sariang. When the 48 hours are about to expire, they will release him. Wait for him at the door, at the gate. When he leaves, they arrest him and start another 48 hours. In fact, fighting that, questioning that, was my first interaction with Ousainou Darboe. What is happening with Barrow is that not that he is a bad messenger, he is a bad actor of democracy. Everything that we've seen from Barrow is an attempt to usurp fundamental rights and freedoms. He had used every avenue possible to try to do that. The only thing that is stopping him is the resilience of the Gambian people, like you said, not to want to go back to where we were. And giving the fact too that most of our funding come from institutions that are forcing him to respect fundamental rights and freedom. Musa, I've seen people say, even when I talk about it, right, oh, but we cannot be having people write this thing. That is, you saw what you do? That's when you enable dictatorship. Here is the issue, Musa. Laws are laws, but not every right, every law is moral. Like I think I heard the guy talk about when he was making the argument. Your guy, Talib, talk about there were some things like slavery was legal, but that doesn't make it right.
Right.
Now, just because the law gives you the right to question somebody, doesn't mean that you should abuse that person's right by bringing them to a police station, putting them in prison because they are now under detention. Their liberties have been seized. Mosquitoes biting them. You may say that an excess is not. Putting their families in serious discomfort, putting them through all that, and say, okay, 72 years are over, so binding the leg, but you have to come back and report every day. And then you don't charge the person, but they will still have these so-called problems hanging over their heads for so long. A Democrat does not act that way. A Democrat would be one who would respect the letter of the Constitution, and would not do anything that is going to jeopardize the liberties of anybody else. And if what I've seen from Adama Barrow to date is somebody who, if given the opportunity, will violate every right that he can. Because the way he speaks, his mannerism, and every opportunity that he has to go about after an opponent, they would do it, and he would use the police to do that. And that is irrefutable fact. Have things changed in our country? Of course they have. This is why the coffee times and all these radio stations are operating. But that does not also mean that the government that we have fully respect fundamental rights and freedom. Why is the government all of a sudden decided, you know what, now we're going to put a moratorium on radio stations. We're going to review all the license of all the radio stations in the Gambia. What is behind that? All of a sudden. What are they trying to do, Musa? To me, the issue is if you respect rights, you respect rights. If you do not respect rights, you do not respect rights. Let me give you an example. You know, Madi Jobate has just established his institution. But Madi is not a free man, legally. He is walking the streets of the Gambia. But his detention has not been resolved yet. Neither Fredo Gomez the same thing. And a whole bunch of other Gambians who are working every day, night and day, looking over their shoulders.
I hear you. I hear your catalog, and there's nothing that I can sit here. I'm not holding briefs for this government. All I'm saying,
I know you will not.
I am not holding briefs for this government.
I gotta get out of here.
I'm gonna mota. Man dama bëgg call sa boss na ñu dakala ci sa liggéey bi.
No, fo haral tuuti bala nga dem, haral tuuti wa Musa delu ko kaddu gi.
ñu mun a daggee parce que
because I also gotta go. Musa delloo ma kaddu gi wax nga
delloo
ba
delloo naa la ko madame.
Okay, this is the thing. I think we can move on from that. You know, we can agree to disagree, but you know what needs to be will be, and people are who they are. And you have people like the coach who nothing can make them relent or waver, and no amount of criticism will make them change their position. They have beliefs, they have stands. I'm not doing gum. Te gom nañ seen boppa. So we need them. Man coach ak Madi. Sa yu ma ewo xamne ñu fa rek. damay am cawarte ma xam ne mun naa.
Why xam nga ne tamit sometimes they have propensity to be activists on steroids. Don't
no, I disagree.
You know what? I would rather have an activist on steroid than a wannabe dictator any time of the day.
But see, it's okay. What I always say is, I think all these protests and advocacy is good. It may not change the situation right there and then. It may not, and a lot of times it has not. Right? It needs consistency and continuation. But what those things do is really it sparks the minds and the hearts. That will bring about the change that we're calling for and we're yearning for. And that's the reason why it's good. So we should not shun it away. We should not shy away from it. We should not beat so hard the people that are coming out to protest for one reason or the other. Honestly, we need it. That's why we are where we are today. Honestly, so we cannot applaud it then and now.
I have to interject.
No, it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you, Musa. Say it again.
No, protest we would do. You protest every day. You have a on Kerfatu, a popular program, Bantaba. You protest every day.
Okay, let's move then. Let's move. I was not speaking because of you or whatever.
No,
but
me.
I have seen people who condemn the protest, and that it's for purposes of those condemnation is the reason why I'm making this emphasis. Honestly, because I've seen people speak against it. They're not even talking about the actions or the utterances. They are saying point blank period, people should not protest because we are not in dictatorship. That's what they're saying.
I don't know about that.
I am going to go. Why the man something fini, Musa. My daughter I am the socialist, she is a capitalist. And an ad. But anyway,
no. Taliban Sudamune, you have to have processes. In the absence of processes, nothing works.
You know what? You as a protest,
Musa, send me the bill.
Anyway, what I wanted to say is my daughter who lived in the diaspora, studied Yale School, is now back in the Gambia and want to start a business. It's called the ABS Daycare. Their motto is care, community, and creativity. And it's something that she's trying to do, which I find very interesting. It's like they're going to have a UK-based curriculum, tailored nutrition plan and catering, sensory room, enriched childcare development, certified teachers, long day for drop-off programs, in-house nurse, and I think they're taking kids from the ages of 6 months to 5 years. I'm going to put it on my wall, and we'll get an ad here on the for the people.
Let's get an ad.
But to me, like, I just feel proud of her, and all these diasporans.
Coach, give her my number to talk to me.
Thank you. You see,
give her my number.
Capitalist B.
Monaco is much smarter than the guy.
No, they are. They are much smarter than I can ever be. But,
why do you bomb?
Wow. No, the good thing that the diaspora and what we do, to now have our kids want to go home and invest. I think that is something that we should all be proud of. So, Kine, I am really proud of you. And you people there with the kids and have the money, we want your business.
The only thing I want to add, Asamba Moine, for Kine going out there investing in an environment that Papam fought and created it. That's why we are at a different place.
You know what?
Again, reinforce the utterances from the president at the hunger. Go ahead. I mean,
All right, guys, I gotta get out of here.
Thank
Congratulations to Kine.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Congratulations. Super proud of her. You know, it's the girl power, girl power. I'm so proud of her, definitely. So now let's move, to the interview at Kirfatu,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Again, yalong, tat, naka lañ ko daw hatee sa, Shariang, well, Musa, I think you understand
Yeah.
Manding. Manding kolko, samole ma 40. Sharia is laughing. Samole Mafoti. When Talib speaks,
yes,
everything shakes.
yes,
Dafa melni lu Talib bokut baaxut.
right.
Ñepp nak mun nañoo def waaye moom su si bokkee rek ku nekk di nga xool di nga bàyyi xel. Man dama ne yëfi maye yàlla la. Ku nekk yàlla moo la dee may. Ndaw la mu ngee jàng mu ngee jéem eggangut. ñu bari nekkoon nañ ci position am ñu génn fa moom it mu ñëw ñu bari ñu ngi ci parti bu mbokka te ñu ngi nekk ay position yore lu bari waaye riir gim dee àndal ci jëfinam ñu bari du leen ci dee fekka li ñoo excuse ñu bari duñ ko dee excuse li ñoo criticize ñu bari ñu ko criticize waaye man li ma koy wax saa yu nekk rek dangay nangu yépp yàlla la dangay nangu nga teey nga jël ci yàlla right waaye I was proud. I watched the interview from the start to the end. Right. And I said to him, yet the best interview so far until I see another one.
Yes.
Because the guy was poised. Right. The guy was measured.
Yes.
The guy was calculative. The guy was respectful. The guy was empathetic. And the guy was really understanding that I'm talking about the issues and plights of the people, not only residents of KM, but Gambians at large.
Correct.
Because when I sit at KM, I see somebody take a vehicle from Kiang or from Kawur, from Kuntawur, take a vehicle to come to KMC to see Talib a wako sohlam. Ndax faj na ko ndax faju ko waaye yaakaar bim am ak lim romba ñëw be foofu noonu. You understand? Du hasard. So loolu nit war na ko bàyyil xel. So when Talib speaks, Talib is not only speaking for the residents of KM, Talib is speaking for Gambia and Gambians, right? So for me, I want to tell people, because I saw a lot of, tap on the back. A lot of people appreciate the interview. Of course, it was not 100% perfect. No. It was not 100% perfect. It was not even close to 100% perfect. Otherwise, I would not have had the conversation to say, you need to say this, you need to do this next time. If it was perfect, there wouldn't be next time do this. And that's what growth is. That's what growth is. Because if you look at 2018, where he was and today, there had been a lot of growth, which every genuine and honest person should really recognize and acknowledge. But now for us, the people, I say, our limited and narrow-minded view of the type of leaders we want is one of the issues that we are facing as a country.
Correct.
Right? And I piggyback to what Honorable Khalifa has said in his interview. I think it's something like that. So we really also need to look at ourselves. Really. Not only criticize, just because I don't like Musa, anything that Musa says is wrong and bad, and I will reject it. I am losing as a human being, as a person. I am losing. So honestly, I was happy. We had a conversation. He's my brother, he's my friend, not only for the fact that we are working, because man kuma jageng sa jem kanam dafay nekk suma ite. Parce que dama feel ne bodano damay daanu am gàcce. So jëmut kanam mani dina ma tardel. So mboolem li may dox mooy sa jëm kanam, sa yokkute ak sa def lu baax ak sa also defal askan bi lu baax. So everything that he does, I take keen interest, I listen, I watch, I look at it. Until when I'm not with him anymore, you understand? And until he does something that is not for the interest of the citizens of the Gambia. Then I will take a turnaround. Until when our ideas and ideologies don't align anymore. Then you will see a difference here. When we speak, then you will see a difference. Now, let me go back to what Talib has done. I also saw Talib show a lot of leadership when he sat there. He showed that he is the leader and he is in charge. That's what he does. Now, what is leadership? It's not about of yere bum sol. It's not about of rafetayam. It's not about of age ndawayam or naka positionam or whatever. You know, I believe that what Talib had showed when he sat there is nothing that he is a leader and he has been tasked with responsibilities.
Correct.
And to see take care of the plights, you know, and the needs of the residents of KM and everybody else that he comes into contact with. That's what he showed when he sat there, and he did it to his utmost best. And we need to say, you know, we need to acknowledge that. We really need to acknowledge that. Now, we as a people, honestly, I feel that we're very short-sighted. We're very short-sighted in the way that we settle, you know, for those that we task with responsibilities, for those that we task with position, and the way we hold them accountable. And we blame nobody but ourselves. We have to take accountability as well. And going back to what Halifa was saying, Honorable Halifa was saying, we cannot run away from that as a people, right? Now, what leadership requires a deep intellect, knowledge of history.
Yes.
Desire for facts.
Yes.
Leadership requires somebody to be truthful and to be honest.
Yes.
Taking
Correct.
and giving information accurately.
Correct.
Right? That's what
Right.
leadership is. You know, submitting yourself to accountability. Leadership is somebody who submerged himself or herself in the service of the people. And boy, oh boy, when I listened to Talib, I saw all these things in him. He displayed it.
He did.
He displayed it. And nobody can take away that from him. Love him, fine, you know, but tell him the truth. Hate him, but acknowledge wherever he has done the good and wherever he has done the right, or wherever he spoke truth to power. You may not in the same camp, but he did justice to that interview.
Oh,
and
he did.
I said the best interview so far until you do another one. Now, to those critics that are talking about it was a PR stunt trying to water down the efforts of Fature. Of course, again, maybe Fature might not have asked all the questions that everybody wanted her to ask. You know, it was a limited time, even though they went overboard because of the way the conversations were going, right? All of us would have wanted Fature to ask something which she was not able to ask. But to water it down or to trivialize whatever she had done, to say it was a PR stunt, I call that dishonesty. I call that dishonesty. Because, hey, Baroka for Nyaming, Dibo man dung follow, Fombuka nyo sute. Tilo be na kang haning kambi.
No, but I just want to say something.
Okay,
like you, I watched the entire interview, not live. You know, just like Fature program and ANU is the same thing. Sometimes to watch these things for 3 hours, it takes time. But
yeah,
commuting to work every day, it takes me about an hour. And I listen. And you see, what I saw is just what I said. This is a man. I don't know much about him. Maybe the commissions will reveal that he's a corrupt guy. I don't know about that. But listening to him, what he said was very clear. My integrity matters to me. I can assure you that there isn't anything out there that integrity will be undermined. As far as PR stunt or not, did Fature ask all the questions? I think she did. Where I disagree, Fature, she has her style. She does. She has her style.
Yeah. Yeah. And that we have to give it to her. Yeah.
Like if I were to ask those questions to Talib, I would frame it a little bit differently. But that's me. Understand what I mean? An example, the passport thing. It was like, so why Talib? Wondering if your passport bini. Why man nagbumategi ni passport bi la rek la mané bon ñi amuñ lu bari den against KMC. Now, I would not frame it that way. I would have said Talib. there is a passport issue. And what your distractors are saying is this. Your action resembles the culture that we have in this country. How can you reconcile your action with the action that the government does that we accuse them every day? Can you justify that?
What say you? You will be like,
Talib,
what say you?
Problem that again, Fature is Fature. She has a style and she has grown. I have watched Fature for the past 5-6 years. You know, like I sometimes tell Tsariang, you know, those are softball questions like, what's the name again that I called you? The CNN guy.
Larry King.
So sometimes I think Fature, you know, especially when she interviews UDP folks, and I mean, let me just be honest about it, because behind the scenes, when I talk to Coach, those are some of the criticisms that we level. She always asks the questions. Is the way she frames it. She seems to be excusing or, you know, that kind of a thing. When she asks the government, she takes it to them. She asks the questions. I mean, and Ker Fatu has become such an important media that people listen to. And for Talib, not only Ker Fatu, I think she needs to go to other platforms. The man has a story to tell. And July 2026 is critical. And I think he has what it takes. I mean, no one will question. He knows issues. When I listen to a lot of people, I listen to a lot of administrators and politicians. Really. But the man knows issues. He really does. He thinks outside of the box. And he does it in such a way, Bohamne. He's not a bomb thrower. Even when he's critical of the government or his opponents, look at the words that he used. When they even talk about their internal problems within the UDP, I think he was very honest. I mean, he did not, they could hide feeling that everything is kumbaya, we are all, no, he didn't say that. He was very honest. So that tells you who this person is. He's saying that some of these people, they just don't like me. Why am I or you are trying to push Dabo. He made it very clear. So to me, someone who embraces the situation within the internal workings of the party, that tells you a lot about the person. Really. And I don't know, man. And you know what, too? He has time. When you're 37 years old, 38 years old, brother has time. And if I were him,
he really
if I were
him,
him,
I'm 37.
And if I were to advise him, I'm like, my brother, be ambitious as hell. Nobody is going to give it to you. But be strategic and, don't rush into anything. Because when you do that, you will undermine, and Gambia needs a talent. It's not the only one. We need leaders like that they don't rush. You remember when you guys were CA, I was a defender of Dr. Cisse. I come here and I talk about CA. Young,
what is that?
A lot of potential. I always say, Dr. Cisse, don't rush into anything. When I saw him Gambia, Manako bro, when you do that, you're going to just decapitate whatever ambitions that you have. Talib, I think he's on the right trajectory, and I just hope Yala Japaleko, and because Gambia needs him, definitely.
You said Dr. Cisse, that's the minister, right?
Yes, Dr. Cisse, yeah. CA,
but when
CA leader.
What's CA?
You were the spokesperson. So, Daga Rahasu Citizen Alliance completely.
Honestly.
That's why people tell me, I used to tell you about this. and I went out of my way. That's why I need to be careful nowadays, you know. When it comes to
but
it was a hell of an interview.
Let's watch out for the guy. Like you say, he needs to open up to more platforms. But let me say something. I think Musa, let me say something. Like you said, Fatu is Fatu, you or you. Like for me, you understand? I'm different from Fatu. Man mako gena yenga to mako gena tanga. Probably man sumara interview nit understand the same question all of us will ask it differently, and we will do pushbacks differently. We will do follow-ups differently. It's a demeanor and whatever of the individual things. Like I said, I would have asked that particular question differently, not the way she did. Right? You understand? But then again, familiarity also contributes towards sa digante ak nit. You understand? Because kuma hamut suma wahamom is different from kuma ham kuma mean. So all those things also plays the factor. You understand? And the other thing also is like, man, I can tell you, when it comes to Kerfatu, UDP, you know, I fight with them, I criticize them, they made it for audio, legi 10 times and whatever. You know what I mean? But they are open. They're really, really open. They may come to your platform, you have the interview, you joke for doing content, but then they will always come. As opposed to any other party, it's a problem to have them to come to your platform. You understand? So because these people go a lot on that platform, now she's framed as she's very close to them, or she is even them. When I can tell you that she is not. She really is not. You understand? Even with Talib Akfaturi, you know, people might think that they are too close. They're not. Fature does not even go directly to Talib. Do they call Talib directly? When Fature needs the interview, Fature goes through protocol, you understand, to get Talib. So to tell you, it's not what people think is there. You know what I mean? And Fature, I'm glad that she said it the other day. She has never gotten any job, any contracted work or whatever with KMC since Talib got there. Ever, never, ever. But people will sit there and say, she's doing a PR stunt, she's doing this, she's doing it. Again, it's their opinion, but also the truth needs to be out there. Man per man, I think it was like, oh my God, oh boy. They need a hell lot of work to beat that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's on the top out there. So work hard to merge it or even to beat it. So that's the one they need to do.
So Nene, since you sit on the Grand Bantabam, our brother and technical person behind the scene has been throwing a lot of shades while we're having all these conversations. Now he says, and he framed it in a way. It's a fact. I mean, it's very dear to him. First of all, he says, Fatu, oh, that's a probability. He says, probably. Give all the questions. I love Matar, man. Bas no, man. But he says, Kerfatu is the Fox News of UDP. So, I mean, I'm not too sure, Brother Baz, but I'll let Nene respond that since Nene is affiliated with Kerfatu.
Now, if anybody is gonna sit there and think that way or even insinuate, I think you're doing justice to that lady. She doesn't roll that way. Honest, like I tell you, people might think Nefatu and Talib are too. They're okay. They're cool, maintaining or whatever. Why? It's not people that will call each other every day and sit and dine and wine and whatever to do that thing. I believe that the lady is professional. I believe that the lady is passionate about her job. I believe that the lady knows the ethics of the work to even go that low to do such a thing. And you know what? Like man, musing my interview, just my question. Even sometimes people will tell, I send you the question. I said, no, I don't need the question. I'm not that dumb. I can sit and handle whatever you ask me. And I believe that Talib also has a great comprehension of the language and the issues to be able to answer any question impromptu without even being told in advance. So there was no pre-arrangement done. All that was is an interview, a time and a date and a place. So you all, come on now. Come on now. You may not like the girl, Fatu. You may not like Talib, but the truth also, we ain't going to allow you to water it down or change it to be what it is not. Honestly, that's very, very dishonest for anybody to think that way. No.
And then just to add on what you said, if you ever spoke to her, the first thing is she would give you this long laugh, you know, and like, even for me, I says, na brother, luaye mutal mang invite de, you know, and they along go jenaba muna sister de. So the person I see will give you this long laugh, and I would start cracking up, and I would say Ture Mandi Moria, and we get this whole laugh. So that's who she is, right? Very lighthearted, and listen.
The sweetest soul. She is the sweetest soul, super generous and caring. And I mean, ask her staff. You know, Fatu has staff who has been there since the inception of the Kerfatu. You know, so it doesn't take that doesn't normally happen in many places. You know what I mean? loyal staff who will die for her because of the way she treats them, the way she takes care of them. I can attest to that because I go there almost every week. That is who she is.
Let me put it this way. There's absolutely no doubt that Fature is a genuine person. We were all here when she started her media house. There's a reason we are talking about her. It's because the amount of work that was put into what she's doing. We all watch the brunch, still under that platform, the Bantaba. I mean, the lady is doing amazingly well. Now, the truth though is this. The United Democratic Party is very comfortable going to Kirfatu. There's nothing wrong with that. Somehow, politicians will make decisions, media houses that they believe is much friendlier. And there's absolutely no doubt that the Kirfatu is much friendlier to the United Democratic Party. Lulumuy Dega. That doesn't mean the lady would go there, the job question before, or she will never do that. She will never reduce herself to that. I don't believe in one bit.
Absolutely not.
But
yeah, absolutely not.
When you listen to her interviewing the government and interviewing United Democratic Party personnel, there's a difference in style, in approach, and the way she poses questions. Lolu Moy Dega. Understand what I mean? And if there is one criticism that I would, let's say, recently I watched the interview with Dr. Mane and CDCC. If you watch it very closely, again, you cannot tell somebody her style. I would have expected challenge CDCC because what she was saying is true. CDCC could not even defend it. I think this has something to do with the Voice newspaper. Understand what I mean? But turn around and challenge Dr. Lamin Sise too as well. But what I saw was like a 2 against 1. She's the moderator. I mean, she's the one in the middle, inviting these two different.
Musa, you were doing very well in your analysis today. Until now, you are trying to fall off the rails and come up with this subjective opinions.
It's my feedback to Fatu. I'm just saying, people are not saying it UDP just out of the blue. Understand what I mean? You gotta understand it. There might be something there.
There could be. There could be a creator of truth in what you say or whatever. I'm not going to discount it. But then this narrative that they peddle in UDP or whatever, it has no basis. Honestly, it's baseless. They're just running a narrative, honestly, and that we should not even amplify it. We should not amplify it. We have seen the care NPPs that they have actually paid them money to propaganda and do things. So can we put attack care NPP? No.
I mean, and people call them that.
Exactly.
People call them that. Let's say, for instance, whether it's Jamano.
At least what remains a fact is they call care UDP, but we can never establish that she has ever been paid.
I wouldn't call it care UDP. All I'm saying is, if you follow Kirfatu, there is a reason.
But Musa, the truth is though, that is little skewed though. That is based on opinions, and we can all go by, like Nene said, label other ones, which I think it defeats the purpose of what our discussion is, right? So the fact is, I think whether the government or the opposition are invited on her platform, and she asked the right question. Whether it's softball, whether that's an opinion people have to wrestle with, and I respect that. But anything to call it a PR stunt, because remember, even Dabo, when Dabo came in, when Dabo was on the platform, she pressed Dabo and says, "Are you going to declare your candidacy for 2026?" And she did what she in a most tamed manner, exert with respect, and that's what we expect. And they will have opinions, they are never. But I think the thing is, the sister is on the money, and you know what? Give it to her, man. She's doing her best job, and with it.
Like I said, all I'm doing is a constructive feedback. But for the minute, there's a reason why I would watch Kirfatu, because I know she would ask the question. There is not a single question. I don't know what other question that she did not ask. She asked all the questions. Now, like I said, style is a little bit different. I'm going to push back, challenge the individual, but that's not Fature. But again, the most important thing is for me, what I heard coming from Talib, irrespective of how the question was framed. And the idea that the questions will be sent to, first of all, Fature will not do that. Definitely. She will definitely not do that. Send somebody, oh, how much on the questions? Come on now. I mean,
No, she's not gonna do that, man. Knowing her, she's not gonna do that.
And,
But anyway,
and it was nice talking to you all, and I'm sure I'll come back another time. I need to
oh,
take my leave.
absolutely.
Hate to leave, but have to leave. So thank you
You're
so
always
much.
welcome.
Always good to hear from you, Nene.
Thank you, Shania. Thank you, and thanks
All
to
right.
your viewers. All right, you all have a good one.
Somebody's been bugging me, Nate, about you. Man, I'm not gonna go. We're almost done. We're gonna need the link. So,
No, Fatimos. But Fatimos, I forgot. I just want to highlight this because I know we were all in the conversation. But condolences to the 7 AWEC subcontractors who passed away last week, and to their families, and it's a difficult situation, but we pray that all of them, Allah grant them Jannah, and it's a tough road, and I think sometimes, in as much as we call the government out on a lot of things, but there are things that behind the scene too they're trying to do, because I think this is like rural Gambia. It was through an expansion project for their electricity project, but these guys went out there motivated to do the right thing, and they met this deadly outcome, and obviously our heart and goes out to their family, and may Allah grant them Jannah.
Very, very, very sad. Remember the last time something like that happened in the Gambia? This was years ago. I remember, man, this accident. This was during the time of GUC, that this individual also was electrocuted and died. It was such a huge, huge, huge news at that time, And when I saw this one, I was like, wow, 7 people just lost their lives like that. And that tells you, bro, this whole how running organizations, regulations, and things like that are so important. You just cannot ignore them, because sometimes lives are lost. People die when you neglect to do certain things. I don't know the details, what happened or what transpired. And hopefully they will definitely look into it to find out exactly what happened and how to make sure that things are put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Like Madi said, I find Fadu Toure to be a great journalist in her own way. She's not combative and those things in a rather amicable and conversational manner. That has great advantages as combative journalism too. I thought that was a point that really needed to be echoed as well. And there's another guy, Moral Khan Musa. You have to know that the interview with CD and Dr. Mane, Fatu Toure is passionate about journalism industry, and it was an attack on their industry. She was always had, which is true too. It really coincided with that, and that is the arresting of the Voice newspaper, and you could say that she was very animated by basically saying, "CD, but look, you can tell, and I can understand." When
but I think her print on the underlying principle was
right.
Being there's a pseudo journalist when you had political ambition, and somehow you came in there and wearing that hat when somehow you were swayed, and I see where she's going with it. She's defending the industry, but also the principles and ethos that encompasses the role of a journalist in a democratic space. So it was.
And I could even tell you my own personal experience when we had that issue with Kini, with the mayoress. When she called into our program, and then afterwards that conversation, people then call it dog. And Kirfa to put that one out where Mayor Law was basically Musa Jengi, blah, 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 blah. And, she put it out there. The next day, my very response that I made, she took that, also lifted it and put it out there. So that tells you that she was basically saying, okay, this is what happened. This is what the response was. And I kind of respected her for that. Really, I said, wow, you know, I mean, that sometimes you have to tell, because if you just cut something and you put it out there, it just tells one side of the story. So her journalistic credentials is not, I'm not questioning it. All I'm saying is that I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but Barrow calls Suleiman Kamara to the State House or Mankamankunda to interview him too. So you can say both ways,
yeah,
and that's an MPP platform. So
I mean, that's even worse. Who's Suleiman Kamara, by the way?
He's the communication something strategy for MPP.
I mean, I don't pay, you know, I would never pay no mind interviews like that. I mean, and I would be equally skeptical.
All I'm saying is, if you talk to the lady on the phone, the first thing she gives you,
I know, she's a sweetheart.
She will be like, no brother.
She's a friend to my sister-in-law.
Okay.
And, I mean, she lives in Denmark. She'll be like, violence, you know. But actually, one time, I reached out to Fature. I wanted to bring her over here and raise those issues. And but there is absolutely no doubt what she's done to Kirfatu, going all the way back to 2016 and where she's at right now. To me, that's success. And this is a lot, really. That do say a lot. But Sariang, I don't think I'm gonna hold you that long because I don't want the madam.
Yes, I mean, I'm telling you now. You know, I got. You know, I forgot some folks too. My sisters and Antina too. Antina sent me a message, congratulating message on my WhatsApp and praying for me and everything else. Appreciate that. Loli Nyang and you know, all the core folks. You know, my sister too, Fature. As Trump said it. You know, I got to make this clear. I mean, she's been over all these things that unbelievable, all right? So now she's the best of the best, all right?
But bro, we're living. You said Trump. Where are we with this race? I am.
Well. I think my message to everyone: don't take this for granted, right? And I watched before I came on the program. If you watch Gate Vance, you watch everything, they are laying out a foundation to create chaos post-election. So if you think you see the polls, it's margin of error, 0.9%, get out there and vote. When you win big, he doesn't have any recourse to challenge. But if we're not voting, we're sitting our hands, and we had this conversation. In fact, on Thursday, the president at the masjid calls me and says, hey, you're not involved, blah, blah. And we start getting into the politics. And they were very upset about this Israel, which they do. But I said the consequence of not voting, especially Michigan, right, where we have a huge Muslim population, right? If you really think the current policy is bad, wait till this guy. But Musa, also you've seen something that has never happened before. Military, they said you have to be apolitical, even if you retired. They had the Hatch Act, government institutions, we've been briefed. But if you're seeing a 4-star general like Macristo, all coming out, swinging and saying, you know what, I'm not going to speak about the other guy, what your opinion is, but I really think Kamala Harris is qualified to be the president. It tells a lot about what is at stake in this election. And I think hopefully everyone that is eligible to vote in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, get out there, vote. If you don't have your ballot, request it. Do whatever it takes. Make sure your vote counts. Every vote makes a difference. And I think that's what the stakes cannot be high. I've talked to one of my friends because he called me to congratulate me. He currently works at the Pentagon. And he says, bro, I cannot speak all that. We was using these fanatics. And he says, man, I'm telling you, everyone is on the edge. You know what I mean? Because, people care.
I send it to you, Sol Badi. I send you the link. I send it on your messenger. So, oh my God.
Everyone is passionate. Everyone wants, they understand what is at stake here, and we cannot take it for granted. So if you need to vote, get out there and vote. Stop laying in the couch and
Not
and and,
only
and get
you,
out there.
you gotta take the clan with you, the family. I told my kids, you are going to vote.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, because I'm telling you, you're talking
Yep.
about this is huge. And like I
It
said,
is.
I'll
It is
tell,
huge. And I mean, I'm telling you right now, the guy who is talking about going after people, retiree, he's gonna recall them up and court martial them. I mean, come on, people are freaking out, and I hope folks respond.
so look at your
Uh,
messenger. I send it to you. So yeah, I don't know what to do next. Send now look at it, bro. Go to Messenger and see the link is there. Unless you want me to, because we're about to go too. They said we were saying that we're only going to be here for 2 hours, but looking at it, we're almost we're almost 3 hours into the show. I just want to make sure. And early voting, somebody is reminding us of that.
yeah, Lamin Sambo, yes.
Yes, yep. I think, man, all you have control over is to vote as if there is no tomorrow. That's all you can do, and let the chips fall. But it's close.
We
it's
cannot
close.
take this for granted, man. We cannot take this for granted.
Living in Michigan, if you honest to God think that you want to send a message to the Democratic Party, and then you listen to rhetoric like, what Pasamba used to tease Biden, committing genocide in Gaza. I can guarantee you, before Trump, there was this issue, moving the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem was a no-go area for whether you are a Republican or a Democrat. It was during Trump that the capital was moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That was a hell of a message. If you think under Trump, this guy is not going to annex, Netanyahu is not going to annex Gaza, you think again. There is a reason why Netanyahu is pushing the war right now. It's because of the elections. I'm telling you. This whole thing about going against Lebanon and Hezbollah and attacking Iran, this is going to happen before the elections. All he's trying to do is to basically say, look, under this Joseph Biden, there is chaos all over the world. If you think as a Muslim living in Dearborn, Michigan, that somehow staying home or voting for Trump will change the lives of Palestinians in Gaza, my friend, I have a brick to send you. I tell you, you better believe it. That will be idiotic. Take your chance on that Kamala Harris. At least he's talking about a two-state solution. Come on, my friend. You don't have to be a genius to understand that this is the same man. His first thing he did was ban Muslims from Syria to come to this country. You're a Muslim, you're banned for not coming. How in God's name can you justify that somehow helping the man to be elected is going to help you? Now, so 6 or 9 land, they're all the same. It doesn't matter who wins. I totally disagree. They're not 6 or 9. It's a totally different administration. Now, you give the Democrats the presidency, you give them the House, and you give them the Senate, you are going to see policy changes. I'm telling you. That's what it is. If you give them a divided government, then they are going to compromise. That's where the deal is. So now, Muslims in Michigan, you do your thing. Like my mother used to say, I'm telling you, as a Muslim, I would be very angry. As a humanist, I'll be very angry seeing children die in Gaza. But these are your people, your relatives. And you better vote smart. Definitely.
No, I mean, I think the sample is right there. We had a catastrophic event that happens, in North Carolina, Florida. What is he doing? Misinformation, scaring people out that FEMA is the worst entity that's built around it. I mean, I think it's just, if you think that person will empathize with you, I mean, you're making a grave mistake, man. I mean, there was a guy who called in, I was watching NBC, and the guy pretty much broke down because of his father or father-in-law, older, was underwater. There was FEMA response, there was help available. But the guy was scared because he heard, you know how these things are, man. He heard that if the government help, he accept that help, government is gonna take his land away from him, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So you see how this misinformation, this guy. I mean, it's just crazy, Musa. I mean,
he's a liar.
an elderly person.
No other president has ever.
Exactly.
This guy will do everything and get away with it, and he will be excused for utterances
Yeah.
that.
That's his entire life. That's his entire life. I mean, there's absolutely no responsibility. He gets away with a lot of stuff. He doesn't think the law applies to him. He doesn't think the rules applies to him. Oh, you think his first time people restrained him because there were people that he selected who really, really embodies the Constitution of the United States, who believe in the rule of law. This time around, he ain't gonna do it. He's gonna choose people who, if he say jump, they're gonna say, how high, man? I'm gonna go into the river, right? So I think we gotta be careful. There's so much consequence. I mean, I'm telling you, man.
Elections do have consequences, and you better believe it. I'm telling you. Am I totally happy with the Democratic Party when it comes to issues like what is happening in Palestine? No, I'm not. I mean, I am not. But I also know what the other side will do. That much I am absolutely certain. There is no way that you will have even a potential state of Palestine under Trump. That's not going to happen. Really. And somebody is saying that Gaza is already under. It's not under Israel. I'm telling you, under Trump, these people are going to annex Gaza. I mean, you better believe it. But anyway. Bro,
is our brother man calling in, or he gave up? Because I gotta
go, man. We'll bring him next
all right,
Sunday,
brother man.
He will say his piece. I mean, I send it to him, and that's all I can do. So, but we'll be back next Sunday, inshallah.
Inshallah, my boss man. Thank you.
Say hi to the madam.
Raj, appreciate it, sir.
We will be back next Sunday. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.